What battle invitation? Huang Yueli asked. Before the senior sister could reply, Su Qingwei had butted into the conversation and hastily said, "Younger sister Li, don't casually agree to these fights. Those people who sent you these battle invitations all harbor ill intentions." "Oh, what do you mean?" Su Qingwei explained. "You just arrived at Celestial Light Academy, so you don't know. This sort of battle invitations are official fights and will be openly held at the Academy's martial arts stage. Moreover, each individual battle uses star currency for betting purpose. Each bet requires at least 10 star currency. You also know that star currency is hard to get, right? Battles are one of the fastest way to earn star currencies. Most new students in the top few places would get star currencies as a reward in the entrance examinations when they just enter the school. So some shameless senior students would take advantage that the new students don't know what's going on and will send you a battle invitation when you just enter the school. The top few new students would normally feel that they're the most outstanding among all the new students. So to go against the senior students would not be a problem. Once they get heated up, they will agree to the battle. In actual fact, those students who had stayed in the academy for 2 years or not, even if their innate talent isn't very high, but their power are much higher than the new students by several times. So new students had never won before. Hearing Su Qingyue's explanation, Huang Yueli finally understood. This meant they were trying to take advantage of the new students? Honestly speaking, she had seen quite a number of such scums in her previous life, and there were quite a number of such disciples in Mythical Flame Palace. Actually, it looked like these people had gained advantage, but since they only dared to challenge those who were weaker than them, this was a very serious psychological damage, and it would affect one's initiative, so it would be difficult to have much achievements in future. Huang Yueli replied, "Now this is interesting. So Celestial Light Academy has such a tradition. Sister Qingwei, quickly tell me, what are the regulations during the battle?" "There's a lot. All the Celestial Light Academy students would have a uniformed ranking at the martial arts stage. If one's ranks was lower than those higher-ranked people, the opponent cannot reject the battle. But if those higher-ranked ones wishes to challenge those lower-ranked ones, then the latter can reject the battle. Moreover, the bet is 10 times of the original amount." Huang Yueli's eyes shone and cried out in surprise. "There's such a good thing. In that case, if I were to bet 10 star currency, then the person who sends me the battle invitation would have to bet 100 star currency. Then if I were to win, 100 star currency would belong to me. Wow, this star currency is so easy to earn?" Su Qingwei had thought her earlier words had frightened Huang Yueli, but who knew she would be excited to such a state. Su Qingwei was dumbfounded, and after a moment, she responded, "I saw. Younger sister Li, did you hear what I said earlier? The potential between new and old students is not comparable." Huang Yueli laughed. "That may not be necessary. Whether it's comparable or not, we still will have to see one's potential. Quickly tell me, is it possible that when they invite me for each battle, I will be able to bet at least 100 star currency?" "Right, that's correct, but..." Huang Yueli cried out, "Oh wow," and continued, "That's great. Senior Sister Manager, I'll accept this battle invitation. Can you help me to check when will the battle held?" "Younger Sister Li, why you're so muddle-headed?" Su Qingwei almost jumped up. "I already told you that no new student had ever won the old ones. Why, you actually accepted the battle so easily." You can also listen on. Even the senior sister was shocked as she speechlessly shook her head. "Junior Sister Bai, don't be so rash. Junior Sister Su is right. Those older students have mastered their cultivation methods and profound skills after so long at Celestial Light Academy, and it's not at a level that you new students could imagine. Although you are ranked first among the new students and is already at 3rd stage realm, but Celestial Light Academy had plentiful of 3rd stage rel practitioners. The top 10 core students are mostly 4th stage rel practitioners. You're not comparable to them in any way." Huang Yueli smiled. "Senior sister, I appreciate your kind-heartedness. But those top 10 core students all want their face, so why would they come challenge a new student like me? Don't know, I know my baseline." In actual fact, even if it was the top 10 core students, she wasn't afraid at all. When she was in 2nd stage realm, She had easily defeated the 4th-stage realm Imperial Tutor. Now that she had successfully advanced to 3rd-stage realm, those practitioner below 4th-stage realm 9 level were definitely not her opponent. But in order not to scare the manager's senior sister, she had to be conservative. Despite manager's senior sister and Su Qingyue's repetitive persuasions, they were not able to change her mind, so they helplessly watched her accept the battle invitation. This, you don't even want to take a look, and just accepted it. What's the point? Seeing Su Qingyue's disapproving expression, Huang Yueli opened the battle invitation. Yiming Shuang, 3rd stage realm, 2nd level, core student, martial arts stage ranking, 69. There's not much content on this battle invitation. Huang Yueli didn't think much of it as she read on, seeing that Su Qingyue's face had already turned petrified. Elder sister Su, what happened to you? Su Qingyue was already showing an expression which looked like she was about to cry. Even Yiming Shuang came to challenge you, and while actually accepted the battle invitation. Do you know the concept of what rank 69 in the martial arts stage was? For an ordinary 3rd stage, 2nd level practitioner, to rank top 100 was already a difficult feat. Moreover, she's ranked in top 70. She's just in the top 70s. Elder sister Su, you're too anxious. No need to worry. It's 7 days to the battle, and by then, just come to the martial arts stage and watch me. That will do. Huang Yueli smiled indifferently. You, AI. Su Qingyue wasn't able to convince her, so she became even more anxious. But newbies who had just enrolled into Celestial Light Academy were always that blindly confident, and right after they've eaten a major disadvantage, then would the facts sink in. After she had been utterly defeated during the battle, she believed that Huang Yueli would then quieten down. The news that Huang Yueli had accepted Yi Mingshuang's battle was soon widely spreaded in Celestial Light Academy. It was a closely watched yearly affair whenever battle invitations were sent out to the new students. No one would ever doubt that the older students would not win, but some new students were more prudent and were not willing to accept the battle invitation, so they were not able to gain any advantages. Now that Huang Yueli had proactively accepted Yi Mingshuang's battle invitation, it meant that this year's number 1 student indeed had some potential, but was simple-minded and rash. In other words, there were advantages to be gained. For a moment, the news made many students' hearts stir. On the same afternoon, Huang Yueli received her 2nd battle invitation. Hu Jingyao, 3rd stage realm, 3rd level, core student. Martial arts stage ranking, 64. Your cultivation is much higher than that Yi something, and your ranking seems to be slightly higher. Huang Yueli held the battle invitation in her hands as she commented lazily. You can also listen on. Hu Jingyao was a tanned youth, around 20 years old. He narrowed his eyes and said, "That's right, my potential is much higher than Yiming Shuang, but the overall performance isn't too different. Do you dare to accept my battle invitation?" Huang Yueli was beaming as she replied, "Amen, I accept. Remember to prepare your star currency." "Cuckoo, don't you worry about it. I think you're the one who should prepare your star currency." Hu Jingyao stared at the delicate fair face and her faint smile and was captivated momentarily by her looks as he pondered silently. Could this top student be an idiot? He and Yiming Shuang were not ordinary people. Among the core students, they were rather famous. Truth be told, for the first time in several decades, Huang Yueli had been the first one to enroll into the school as a core student, so ordinary students really didn't dare to challenge her. Those who did were naturally not common people. Heavens knew how she was able to accept these battle invitations so indifferently. Who did she think she was? No matter what, she's just a new student who had just entered the 3rd stage realm. To break through on a last-minute basis, her base was not stabilized, and yet she was already thinking of exchanging blows with those core students who had entered 3rd stage realm long ago. Hu Jingyao silently shook his head, but said nothing at all. In actual fact, based on his cultivation and potential, he felt that it was beyond his dignity to take part in matters such as taking advantage of new students. If it wasn't for someone who had promised him some other benefits, he wouldn't even be standing here. But since he was already here, he wouldn't show any mercy. He would treat this as a lesson for the new student. to let her know how deep the water ran in the Celestial Light Academy. Hu Jingyao left behind his battle invitation, passed it to her, and left. Who knew? Right after he took one step, he was called out by Huang Yueli. All right, that. Senior brother Hu, wait a moment. Hu Jingyao suddenly turned around. Why? You regret it already? Since you've accepted this battle invitation, then the martial arts stage have already taken in this case, so there's no chance for regrets. Huang Yueli smiled as she showed a set of tidy white teeth. That's not it. Senior brother Hu, you're mistaken. I just want to ask you if you happen to know if there's anyone else who wants to challenge me. Please pass the message around and tell them to go ahead. No matter how many of you come, I will accept all the battle invitations. Hu Jingyao stood in blank momentarily, and following that his pupils dilated as though he had just seen a ghost. Where on heavens would you find such a ridiculous matter? This lass actually proactively asked other people to come challenge her. What was wrong with her? Had water seeped in her brain? If she were to accept so many people's challenges and to fight continuously, no matter how strong she was, she would not be able to take part in a cartwheel battle, right? Moreover, as a new student, if she wasn't able to win even one single round, if she accepted so many battles, was she prepared to lose all her fortune? She really don't know the immensity of heaven and earth. Hu Jingyao snorted. Since Junior sister, you're so confident, I'd naturally inform the others. Then I'll depend on your senior brother. Have a good trip. Huang Yueli waved. Hu Jingyao almost spat out a mouthful of blood as he clutched his chest and walked away, looking melancholy. After Hu Jingyao left, he spread what Huang Yueli had said, and indeed, the entire Celestial Light Academy swarmed up a huge wave. Everyone was now saying that the top new student didn't have any self-knowledge and was simply looking for death. Those who were looking to gain some advantages were overjoyed, and very quickly, Huang Yueli received yet another 2 battle invitations. You can also listen on. Yi Mingshuang, Hu Jingyao, and 2 more new battle invitations. There was a total of 4. Huang Yueli was waiting to receive even more battle invitations, but surprisingly, after she received these 4 invites, she no longer received any new battle invitations. She was feeling strange when Su Qingyue came looking for her again. Su Qingyue had an angry expression, and as she entered the door, she furiously screamed, "Younger sister Li, why can't you take an advices and you actually accepted so many battle invitations? Don't you know that you've been tricked by others?" Tricked? What do you mean? Huang Yueli displayed a lost look. Su Qingyue was utterly discomfited as she continued. It's all because of that Li Shuer. To think she's also from South Yu Kingdom like you. How can she trick you like that? I tell you, those top experts like Yi Mingshuang and Hu Jingyao are all reputable people in the academy, so why would they suddenly challenge new students out of the blue? It's all because of Li Shuer's instigation. Huang Yueli stared blankly momentarily, but she started smiling at the next moment. I really can't tell that Li Shuer in Celestial Light Academy still had some sort of influence. Su Qingyue retorted, Smile, 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 you can still smile. I heard that you and Li Shuer had some feud in South Yu Kingdom. Don't you know she's the beloved student of the great armament master, Master Tang, and it's rumored that she already at the level of a first-rank armament master. Do you know how many course students are rushing to get in her good books? Now that you've offended her, do you think you will have any good days to spend in the academy? Huang Yueli smiled as she shook her head and replied, Only a first-rank armament master. Why are all the current practitioners all so short-sighted? Sai, what do you know? For practitioners like us who come from small countries, we are already not looked upon by those students whose backgrounds are from the major families in Sky Cloud City. Now that you have obtained first place, the number of you who want to see you fall, and with Li Shuer pushing the waves and adding to the billows, do you think you can easily pass this round? By the day of the battle, losing star currency is a small matter. If you're seriously injured, it will affect your future cultivation, and you'd be in deep trouble. Such a pity you're so rash and had already accepted the battle invitations. So even if you want to change your mind, it's too late already. So Qingyue was really anxious as her eyes had turned red. There were many practitioners who came from small countries in Celestial Light Academy, and they had always been bullied. So they had silently formed their own group, and Huang Yueli to them was one of their people. Their small country team finally had a top new student with endless future, and she really didn't want to see that Huang Yueli had just joined the school and already beaten until she wasn't able to raise her head up. Huang Yueli didn't know how to comfort her and could only show her the truth when that day was over. She thought about it and said, "All right, elder sister Sue, no matter what you say, I've already accepted the battle invitations. So even if you're worried, there's no point anymore. Right, I want to ask you something. Do you know why is it that after I've accepted 4 battle invitations, no one else continued to give me any invitations? Is there a regulation in school that each person could only accept 4 battle invitations?" Su Qingwei rolled her eyes and said, "How could that be possible? There is no limit to how many battle invitations one can accept, but you only have a total of 40 star currency, and you have to bet 10 star currency for each round. Now that you're penniless, naturally no one would be able to send you any battle invitations." Saying that, she showed a relieved expression. Luckily, you had already spent 60 star currency on your first day. Otherwise, if it were all spent here, you'd have made a huge loss. You can also listen on. Huang Yueli just understood the whole situation was because she was too poor. In such a short time, her star currency had been deducted to 0. Shortage of funding was a big problem. No wonder everyone said star currency was very important. Just merely 4 rounds of battle for the opponent to bet 10 times of the amount would only earn her 400 star currency. It was a little too little. Huang Yueli pouted her lips and thought for a moment before her eyes shone. "Right, elder sister Sue, do you have any star currency? Lend me some. After 7 days, I'll return you double the amount." Su Qingwei looked at her alertly. "You wish to borrow star currency?" Huang Yueli nodded and replied, "That's right. If you're worried that I won't return it, I can write an IOU, and we can leave a record with the Academy's teachers, so I won't be able to deny it after." Su Qingwei replied, "I'm not worried about you not returning, but at this moment, why do you need to borrow star currency for?" Huang Yueli replied, "About this, I was thinking if I had more star currency on hand, doesn't it mean that I can accept more battles?" Su Qingwei had originally made a wild guess secretly, but when she heard Huang Yueli say it out, it still felt like a lightning bolt striking her from the top, burning her to a crisp. She had never seen anyone who looked for death so earnestly. Borrowing money to battle. Did she felt that she hadn't lost badly enough yet? Felt that losing her entire fortune wasn't enough, and was prepared to live with a life filled with debts. "No way, impossible. I will never ever lend you this money." Su Qingwei hissed out the words and stomped away in rage. Huang Yueli was stunned, not expecting that she had so little confidence in her. But it was understandable. In Su Qingwei's eyes, she was that trash by Ruoli several years ago. For trash to be able to cultivate and become first place among the new students was already a marvel. How was it possible that she would be the first one in several decades to win the battle against the older students? This was not a marvel, but a miracle. "Sai, I originally intended to help you and share the riches, but I didn't expect you to not reciprocate." Huang Yueli shook her head as she heaved a sigh of relief. But she knew where the problem laid, so there was a way to solve it. Huang Yueli quickly set up a booth in the academy and openly asked for a loan from the entire academy's teachers and students. Her loan rules were very simple. Borrow 100 star currency to be returned 7 days later. By then, it would be calculated according to a 50% interest, which was to say, the owner would get 150 star currency. The interest rate was much higher than loan sharks. The entire academy was rocked by this news instantly. Top new student openly borrowing money in the academy. Moreover, to using such a method to loan money and such a high interest rate. Who would use such a method to loan money and to give such a high interest rate? Could it be a scam? However, there were some gutsy people who went ahead and tried. They found that Huang Yueli was very clear-cut when she dealt with the matter, and when she was loaning the money, she had gave our several IOUs which had been recorded by the academy. With the academy's teachers as a guarantor, It would ensure nothing was lost. Even if she wasn't able to return, the academy would pay for her first. With this, the amount of people who heard about this increased, and very quickly, Huang Yueli had consolidated 1,000 star currency. In actual fact, she really wanted to borrow a bit more, but the academy side was rather restrictive and was only willing to guarantee her for a maximum of 1,000 star currency. This matter was even approved because of Principal Zhang's accord. Otherwise, if a new student wanted to earn 1,000 star currency, one would need at least 2 years, and the academy was worried that she was not able to pay back. You can also listen on. Huang Yueli's borrowing without restraint caused the crowd to raise suspicions. As a new student, why did she need so much star currency for? Li Shui'er had intentionally walked one round at her booth and took out 100 star currency. Don't you want to borrow money? I'll loan it to you, but I advise you not to do any last-minute struggles. As a new student and you're loaning 1,000 star currency, even if you exchange for a huge amount of cultivation methods or profound armaments, so what? Don't tell me you were able to learn it all within 7 days? Since you're going to lose, why bother to borrow so much money? So pitiful. Your future in Celestial Light Academy would only result in taking up dangerous jobs, such as medicine testing, to repay your loan. Li Shui'er displayed a bemoaning the state of universe and pitying the fate of mankind expression as she spoke earnestly. She attracted surrounding people who exclaimed that Li Shui'er was so kind. Huang Yueli didn't accept her star currency as her lips curled upwards and said, "I'm so sorry, you're too late. My 1,000 star currency had been filled, and now I'm not able to give out any more IOUs. Moreover, you seem to have mistaken something. I'm loaning star currency not because I'm intending to exchange cultivation methods. Not exchanging for cultivation methods? Then what do you intend to do? Don't tell me you're intending to go to the mountaintops, closed-door cultivation rooms to cultivate? That wouldn't require 1,000 star currency as well." Huang Yueli didn't reply her question. She stood up and turned towards the surrounding crowd. "Everyone, I know many of them will like to challenge me. But previously, as my star currency had been used up, so a lot of you were not able to send me battle invitations. Now that I have star currency, so..." She paused momentarily as an invisible smile hung upon her lips. "So for now, everyone take the chance to send me your invites. No matter how many there are, I'll accept it all." Her tone was sweet, and when they heard it, it seemed a little soft, but at the moment the words were out, it felt like lightning had struck the ground, causing many of them to lose their senses. "Yo, you are borrowing money just because you want to continue accepting battle invitations?" Li Shui'er's eyes turned wide. Insane, by Ruoli, is definitely insane. Heavens, she really don't want to live any longer. Is she thinking that she hasn't paid enough? Among the bustling discussions, Huang Yueli indifferently added, "But for those who are sending your battle invitations now, I will only bet at least 100 star currency. That is to say, those who intend to challenge me will at least need to bet 1,000 star currency." Li Shui'er sneered when she heard what was said. "So that was what you were planning? You thought that once the bets had been raised to 1,000 star currency, no one would dare to send their battle invitations? Hee. Those core students who have been in the academy for more than 2 years all have 1,000 star currency. Just you wait." Huang Yueli innocently shrugged. "Don't be mistaken. I only feel that it's too tiring to go battle after battle. Think about it. 10 coins 1 round. 1,000 coins means I need to accept 100 battles. It's very tiring, okay? I merely wanted to save some time. Just you continue to pretend. 7 days later, I'm going to watch how you cry." Li Shui'er sneered as she walked away. Due to the restriction of 1,000 star currency, the amount of people who sent Huang Yueli battle invitations had decreased by quite a lot. But those who had been coveting the fortune in her hands were still many, and eventually, she managed to receive all 10 battle invitations. What's more, among the owners of the 10 invitations, they were all reputable experts in Celestial Light Academy and were ranked top 30 in the martial arts stage. 7 days later, on the day of the battle before dawn, the martial arts stage was filled with people. Almost all of the students had received news and flocked over. Although a new student accepting an old student's challenge was seen yearly, but for it to make such a huge commotion was totally unheard of. You can also listen on. Everyone wanted to witness the few battles with their own eyes. Since Huang Yuli talked big and used so much star currency to bet, did she really have that overbearing power, or could it be that her brain wasn't working well, thinking that she had merely gotten a first place in among the new students and thought she was really unequaled? Regarding this question, it was something that everyone wanted to find out. Besides that, someone had specially taken bets to see how many battles Huang Yuli could win. But the majority bet that Huang Yuli would not be able to win even one single round. It was rumored that the statistics, which bet her total loss, had reached 100-1. Before the battle, Su Qingwen knew that there was no going back and specially came to encourage her. A few students and myself who were from the small countries had all bet 100 lower grade spirit stones that you could at least win one round. Why? You have to buck up. All of us believe in you. When Huang Yuli heard this encouragement, she almost spat out blood. Just when one round was considered as believing in her. Did they need to look down on her that much? She took out the 20,000 medium-grade spirit stones that she had won dueling the entrance examinations and passed it to Su Qingwei. Elder Sister Su, I need your help to go and help me bet that I will win all rounds. If you have any spare cash, go ahead and buy my total win. The rate is 100-1. Just betting 100 will win you 1,000. Nothing is as easy to earn as this. Too bad this self-organized betting booth by the students cannot bet star currency and only spirit stones. Otherwise, I will have struck it rich. Huang Yuli's eyes shone with brilliance. She had never thought that just one battle could earn her that much, and placing a bet would earn her another huge fortune. 20,000 medium-grade spirit stones would turn into 200,000 after today. Su Qingwei almost fainted. Why? You are really not afraid of losing all your fortune. Owing so much money, even if we sell you, it's not enough. Huang Yuli was speechless as she shook her head. Elder Sister Su, don't worry. Do I look like an idiot to you? If it wasn't that I am 100% certain, I wouldn't have agreed to so many battles or even borrow star currency. Can you have some confidence in me? Su Qingwei stared at her for half a day before she nodded. All right, younger sisterly. I know you have your own ideas. Since you can become a third-stage realm practitioner from trash, perhaps you have some killer stint which I don't know about. We will go ahead and bet on your total win. If you can really win all the bets, in future, we will follow you around. Huang Yuli's eyes shone. She had long despised the servants whose innate talents were simply not enough in South Yu Kingdom, as she couldn't use them in much areas. If she was able to take in Su Qingyue's team of students, that would be an unexpected surprise. After all, they were at least 4th grade upper talents and above, and to be able to enter Celestial Light Academy, they weren't any common in any way. It was only because they were in unison, crowded out by those large families' disciples, so they were merely not able to obtain more resources. But under proper guidance, their potential would surely take a huge leap. Thinking of this, her lips curled upwards as she smiled mysteriously. All right, just wait and see. On the day of the battle, Huang Yuli had been the same as always, waking up on time, finishing her breakfast before preparing to leave the room. Knock, knock, knock. A knocking sound was heard as Su Qingyue pushed open the door. Upon seeing her, her eyeballs grew wide. Younger sisterly W, why are you still here? What time is it already? Huang Yuli replied. Isn't it still very early? It's just 6:45. My first battle is at 7 o'clock. If I were to leave now, I should still be able to arrive on time. You can also listen on. Su Qingyue stared at her, expressing a look which like she was almost about to faint. You? 7 o'clock is your competition, and if you're still here. Do you know that many people said you're regretting accepting so many battles, and you know that you're definitely going to lose, so until now you don't dare to go to the martial arts stage. I was worried something would happen to you, so I came over to look for you. These people are really senseless. Why bother about them? Anyway, as long as I arrive on time when the battle starts, it should be fine. Arrive on time will do. Haven't you took part in any official battles before? Everyone would normally arrive at the place beforehand. Don't tell me you don't need to do any preparation before the battle. What preparation? Huang Yueli asked curiously. There's just too many. For example, to adjust your mentality and mood, meditate and restore your condition, and to get used to the battlegrounds, to defeat a few clowns, and to earn easy money. Do I need to do so many unnecessary stuff? Huang Yueli mumbled. What? Su Qingye thought that she must have heard wrongly. Those who challenged Huang Yueli were core students whose ranking were in the top 100, so which one of them were clowns? But before she could say anything, Huang Yueli had already stood up. Let's go, it's indeed not early anymore, and I don't want to be late. After passing the main street, Huang Yueli realized that there wasn't a single soul on the street. Even the usually bustling public square were all empty. Where was everyone? Where had they all gone to? It was until they reached the martial arts stage's empty land outside the entrance before Huang Yueli realized what was going on. From the situation, the academy had been so empty because everyone was here to see her. These bunch of people, were they that bored? Please move aside quickly. Huang Yueli and Su Qingye tried their best to squeeze inside, but they were not able to do so. There was simply too many people, and because everyone was afraid they would be too far away and not be able to see the situation inside, so they practically ignored the callings to move aside. Seeing that the official battle time was nearing, Huang Yueli realized that she was unable to get into the battlegrounds. What the heck? What situation is this? Elder Sister Su, I realize that you're right. We really cannot be late for the battle. Otherwise, we can't even get into the battlegrounds. I really regret not listening to you. Su Qingye, she didn't mean it in this way, but from why did Huang Yueli's words make so much sense? At this point in time, Celestial Light Academy's main entrance was another scenario. Celestial Light Academy's Principal Jiang Tuxin, Vice Principal Ling Wenbin, and several high management and six-stage realm experts all appeared at the school's main door. Moreover, they had split into two lines, all of them bearing an anxious and terrified expression, peering towards the entrance. For so many important people to appear together at Celestial Light Academy was a rare scene, and even during the yearly school starting ceremony, many of the elders were not willing to grace the occasion. But now all of them were standing here waiting. If it hadn't been for everyone else who was at the martial arts stage watching Huang Yueli's battle, this scene might have already caused a huge commotion and crowd. As time went past slowly, the school main door was still empty. Ling Wenbin appeared anxious as he nudged himself towards Jiang Tuxin and whispered, Principal Jiang, why have young sect master not arrived yet? Didn't the messenger say he will arrive at 7 o'clock? Jiang Tuxin replied, You ask me, I ask who? What status does the young sect master hold? Whatever timing he wants to arrive, it's not something that we can question, isn't it? You can also listen on. When Ling Wenbin heard that, he felt that he had acted impudently and lowered his head. But after a while, the person whom they had been waiting for had not appeared, so he became flustered again. Principal Jiang, do you know why young sect master would come to Celestial Light Academy at this timing? Our sect had just ended the tournament with those few sects from West Sky region, and he's headed to our side now. Is it because we have done something wrong? It was no wonder that Vice Principal Ling would think in this way. Celestial Light sect's people were all of high standing, and even when Jiang Tuxin was in the sect, he was merely an elder and one of the weaker powers. Whereas in Celestial Light Academy, he was something whom no one dared to oppose. A person like young sect master would normally not come to Celestial Light Academy, unless something major had happened. Jiang Tuxin frowned. When I met sect master last month, he commentated me, saying that Celestial Light Academy was well managed. The disciples that we had picked recently had shown good performance, so it shouldn't be. Regarding this, Jiang Tuxin was totally baffled. But young sect master, just as the both of them were conversing, a stroke of lightning flashed past the sky, and immediately following that, a powerful, profound energy came sweeping from the direction of the school's main entrance. The few six-stage realm practitioners who were nearer to the entrance were not able to maintain their standing and almost fell due to this gush of profound energy. But Jiang Tuxin's eyes shone. Young sect master is here. A flying ship slowly descended from the sky, and a few figures were seen. The man leading was a young man with an extremely handsome face. His features were delicate, resembling a perfect sculpture, with dark black eyes like ink, sharp but indifferent, and the imposing manner which he gave out was strong but cold. No one dared to look at him in the eye. If Huang Yueli were here, she would have a shock of her life. Because this man was indeed Li Moying, Jiang Tuxin hastily walked out to welcome him. Young sect master, you're finally here. I have been waiting for you for ages. The higher management behind Jiang Yusin followed closely. Our respect to young sect master. Li Moying glanced at them icily, and after some time, he nodded his head and said, "Dispense with formalities." Jiang Tuxin and Ling Wenbin crowded over and said affectionately, "Young sect master graces Celestial Light Academy with your presence. Your presence brings light to our humble dwelling. Young sect master, do you want to go to our tea house to take a short rest? And after that I'll bring you around to tour the academy. There's no need." "I still have some things to do," Li Moying replied unconcernedly. Yes. If young sect master needs us to do anything, just let us know." Jiang Tuxin and Ling Wenbin looked at his unfathomable handsome face as they held a terrified expression. Before Li Moying's arrival, they had only heard of this young sect master's reputation and knew that he was the #1 talent in Celestial Light sect's history. Perhaps he was even able to challenge Mu Chengying's #1 place. So the entire sect held him in high respects, not daring to make him unhappy one bit. But Li Moying had always been in closed-door cultivation or out learning through experience, and the two principals seldom returned to the sect, so they had never seen him before. From the two principals' imagination, this legendary young sect master had enjoyed success since young, and most of his time was spent on cultivating. Moreover, he was so young, so his personality was likely arrogant and inexperienced, not knowing the ways of the way, so he was still tender in some ways. But upon meeting him today, they discovered that their guesses were wrong to the extreme. You can also listen on. Just based on that handsome, youthful, reversal of life face of Li Moying's could show that he was indeed very young. But the imposing manner and extremely strong power that he gave off made anyone unable to imagine that he was only 20 years old. Just standing at that spot, the profound energy pressure that was coming from him was at an unexcelled position which could repress all the top exponents there, making them suffocate as though their breathing would stop any time and break out into cold sweat. It was even more pressurizing than meeting with the sect master himself. Even Jiang Tuxin, whose cultivation was at 8th-stage realm, which was higher than his, was not spared. It was until Jiang Tuxin and Ling Wenbin had escorted Li Moying away when the top exponents present were able to breathe, feeling that the heavy pressure weighing upon their chests had finally been shifted away. The few of them wiped the sweat off their foreheads coincidentally. Heavens, I almost knelt down earlier. It's so terrifying. That's young sect master? Isn't he only 20 years old? How could he be so terrifying? You haven't heard of this. I heard that young sect master had already broken through to 7th-stage realm last month in the sect. What's more, at that moment, both heaven and earth moved weirdly as the ground trembled and mountains swayed, almost splitting the entire rear mountain into half. Are you telling the truth? Young sect master is already in 7th-stage realm? He's only 20. A 20-year-old in 7th-stage realm. How is this possible? How does he cultivate? I've heard about this too. This matter is absolutely true. Young sect master's future is boundless, and he will definitely be someone who will produce clouds with one turn of the hand and rain with another. His arrival at Celestial Light Academy is a huge opportunity for everyone here. If anyone happens to fall into young sect master's grace, then it would be a huge advantage in future, but if anyone were to offend him accidentally, let's all be careful these few days. Li Moying didn't bother about the people discussing behind his back. He walked neither swiftly nor slowly forward as his deep gaze kept surveying the school grounds. Even though Jiang Tuxin and the rest were talking, he listened absently, but his herd had already flown towards a black-bellied little fox. Speaking of that, he and his leader had been separated for close to half a month. Logically speaking, Celestial Light Academy's enrollment examinations should have ended, and based on Lear's potential, admitting into the academy shouldn't be any suspense. He wondered if she saw him here, would she be surprised? Lemoyne's expression was cold, and he didn't say anything much, so this made Jiang Tuxin and the rest flustered as all of them were on their toes, not knowing if they did anything wrong. When Moe saw this, he knew his master's heart had already flown away and didn't hold any interest in entertaining any of these idle people. So he had to make his appearance to help smooth things over as he started talking to Jiang Tuxin and the rest. Principal Jiang, why is the academy so quiet? What time is it now? Why is there no one in the academy at all? This is an exception. Jiang Tuxin was worried that there was a misunderstanding as he hurriedly explained. Today something happened. The new top student received over 10 senior students' battle invitation at one go and placed huge stakes on it. Protector Moe, you had stayed in Celestial Light Academy previously as well, so you should know the difference between the new and senior students' abilities. This new student overestimated herself and had accepted so many battle invitations, so this situation is rarely seen. So many of our students had gone over to the martial arts stage to join in the fun. When Lemoyne heard the few words, top student, his brows moved slightly. You can also listen on. Moe observed his expression, and having immediately understood what his master was thinking about, he inquired immediately. Since that's the case, this new student must definitely be very powerful before she dares to do such a thing. What's her background? Jiang Tuxin quickly showed off his accomplishments. This young lady is called by Ruoli, and she comes from a small country called South Yu Kingdom from South Sky region's border. Her background isn't very ordinary. Her father is by Lu Feng, and he was the strongest core student in Celestial Light Academy's history. Even our old sect master had personally came over to Sky Cloud City and tried to take him in as a direct disciple. If her father had joined Celestial Light Sect that year, then he would be Sect Master Morong's junior brother, and she would be the same generation as young Sect Master. A pity that Jiang Tuxin spoke frankly with assurance, couldn't wait to repeat the entire story of Bai Lu Feng during those years. It was an incredible achievement for Celestial Light Academy to have been able to nurture one Bai Lu Feng. But before he could complete his story, Lemoyne had cut into his conversation. Where's the martial arts stage? Bring me over there. Jiang Yueli went into a blank. He had introduced by Lu Feng and his daughter's story so as to give himself credit and had never expected that Lemoyne would want to go and see some battle. After all, no matter how exciting the battle was, wasn't it just between some third-stage realm practitioners? With Lemoyne's potential and status, how was it possible that he would have any interest in such a childish and low-level battle? Lemoyne's brows raised as he gazed towards him impatiently. Jiang Tuxin's heart thumped as he hurriedly responded, Yes, I'll lead the way now. Young Sect Master, please follow me this way. Martial arts stage. Huang Yueli used a tremendous strength before she was able to squeeze herself through the crowd. Initially, she didn't want to hurt the innocent crowd, but until the last moment, she had no choice but to use her profound energy to separate the crowd apart to make a path through. By the time she arrived, the martial arts stage entrance's hourglass had pointed exactly at 7 o'clock. Under such a tight situation, Li Shuer was actually able to sit in the very first row, which was the golden seat nearest to the tournament grounds. It was obvious to see how high the position of an armament master was in Celestial Light Academy. Upon seeing Huang Yueli, Li Shuer immediately laughed out. Our new stop student has finally arrived. Why did you drag until so late? Could it be that you finally understood how big of a mistake you'd committed and didn't dare to come because you're afraid? Too bad it's too late. Even if you regret it now, your star currency isn't going to come back. But if you directly admit your loss now, at least you won't be hurt and can go back in one piece. Just that your reputation will definitely be thrown away. Huang Yueli threw one glance at her lips curled up slightly. I'm afraid I will have to disappoint you. Not only will I not lose, what's more, I will win all the battles. I heard that you had set up several bets that my chances of winning is equal to none. So I'm going to bet 20,000 medium quality spirit stones that I will win all my matches. I hope by then you'll be able to pay back. A betting rate of 1 to 100 was equal to 200,000 pieces of medium quality spirit stones. If she were to include the amount that Su Qingwei and gang had added, it was thinkable that Li Shui'er would pay dearly today. However, she didn't realize it, and when she heard what Huang Yueli said, she laughed until she could stand up straight. I've seen people heading for death, but never seen someone to go on a speed bullet train like you. Still talking big before you meet your death. And you're actually giving me 20,000 medium quality spirit stones. Really laughed at me. She turned back and said, Sister Mingshuang, since she's in a hurry to look for death, then you'd better quickly head down and grant her wish. You can also listen on. All right, I'll go and meet her. I want to see just how strong is the new top student. Laughter was heard, and the young lady stood up behind Li Shui'er was Yi Mingshuang. She looked around 17 to 18 years of age and wasn't particularly pretty, but she had an arrogant look, which obviously displayed her confidence in her own ability. Huang Yueli didn't say anything as she turned around directly and walked towards the center of the martial arts stage battlegrounds. The crowd were completely boiling with excitement. It's starting soon. It's starting. Finally, the battle is going to start. I must open my eyes wide and look carefully. I have bet so many spirit stones. I bet this new top student would at least win one round. Why didn't you bet that she would lose all rounds? Because the odds of losing all rounds is simply too low, which is equivalent to not earning anything at all. I really hope she will buck up, but if she really didn't win a single round, then she would be the #1 biggest joker among the new students of Celestial Light Academy's history. The two of them stood face to face against each other. Yi Mingshuang drew out a long sword from her back and touched it in a loving manner. After this, she looked towards Huang Yueli and spoke arrogantly. To be honest, when I just entered Celestial Light Academy, I had also thought that my ability was much higher than the senior students, but reality had taught me what is to know your own limits. Today, I'll be the one to teach you this lesson. I'll let you strike 3 times first. Huang Yueli gave out a puff as she laughed and said, I think you haven't learnt your lesson at all. What? Yi Mingshuang was stunned. Huang Yueli had already kept her smiles. Stop all the talking. You're really going to let me strike 3 times? Yi Mingshuang arrogantly raised her chin as she replied, Nonsense. If you're able to even touch a corner of my clothes within these 3 strikes, I will kneel down and kowtow to you. Huang Yueli raised her brows. You agreed on this, okay? Yi Mingshuang sneered. You really think you can hurt me? Huang Yueli non-committally smiled as she waved her right hand and drew a circle in the air. The surrounding fire attributed profound energy immediately gathered within her hand and grew into a blazing fire ring. Yi Mingshuang saw that Huang Yueli didn't even drew out her weapon as she sneered coldly. Who do you think you are? You think you can hurt me when you don't even bring out your profound weapon? Hee hee. Her laughter halted suddenly. Huang Yueli's pointed her right hand towards the front, and a strong burst of fire attributed profound energy sprayed out following her fair, slender fingers. A fire dragon tore out from the empty space, and with striking rays, it shot out towards Yi Mingshuang's chest. Yi Mingshuang didn't expect Huang Yueli to have such terrifying and intense power the moment she struck. The intensity of the fire dragon was so strong that it exceeded her expectations, and her instinct was to retreat. But she seemed to be fixed to the ground, rendering her immovable. A huge boom sound reverberated, and Yi Mingshuang was struck on the chest, and her dantian was almost scattered as she flew out and crashed onto the stage boundaries array and bounced back onto the battleground stage once again. These 2 strikes had made her entire body's bones fell apart, as she laid limply onto the ground, totally unable to stand up. Everything happened too quickly. All the students were stunned by this as their mouths opened wide, staring blankly towards the direction of the stage. At that moment, no one was able to react. It was until Yi Mingxuang was unable to get up when the crowd started to cry out in shock. Heavens! What happened earlier? What's wrong with my eyes? That new top student had actually beaten Yi Mingxuang to this state in just one strike? You can also listen on. That's right. How is that possible? I must be seeing things wrongly. Yi Mingxuang is ranked 69 among the core students. How is it possible for her to lose to a new student? Correct, but Yi Mingxuang had lost quite quickly, right? I haven't even seen clearly what had happened, and she lost? Could it be that the new student used some sinister move and schemed against Yi Mingxuang? The crowd were discussing in low volumes. The gazes towards Huang Yueli were filled with shock, astonishment, and horror. Only 1/10 of the students in Celestial Light Academy were core students, and all 500-plus core students were the elite among the elite, and all of them were held in high regards. Yi Mingxuang was ranked 69, so that already clearly explained her ability. Among the ordinary students present, she was already a strong presence whom most had no way to win against. Who knew? This newcomer had only used one move. In between this one move, Yi Mingxuang had already been defeated. Even though most people had already guessed that Huang Yueli's power was extraordinary to dare to accept so many battle invitations, she definitely had the ability, but no one had expected that she was actually so strong to this extent. In front of her, Yi Mingxuang was akin a defenseless, ordinary person, not even able to take one strike. Because of the array's separation, all the students only felt astonished, but were not able to feel the actual situation on the stage. Whereas Yi Mingxuang, who was on the stage, not only felt astonishment or surprised, and a deep sense of terror. Earlier during that instant, when the fire dragon flew into the sky, the entire stage was vibrating with a strong and overbearing fire attributed profound energy. That overwhelming advantage made her feel that she was up against a 4th or even 5th stage realm top exponent. But the new student in front of her had merely just advanced in a 3rd stage realm, and wasn't her cultivation lower than hers? Huang Yueli walked over slowly towards her. Yi Mingxuang heard her footsteps and used her hands to hold up her body. At least standing up would not make her seem overly pathetic. But the moment she tried to hold herself up, she felt a wave of intense pain coming over her entire body. All the bones in her body had apparently been injured in the 2 knocks earlier. Several bones were broken, and her arms especially felt sore and painful, completely unable to use any strength. Huang Yueli walked towards Yi Mingxuang till she was just 2 steps away before she stopped. From Yi Mingxuang's line of vision, she was able to see that Huang Yueli was wearing an exquisite deerskin embroidered ankle boots. Her gaze followed from the boots upwards, but because she was not able to raise her head, no matter how she tried, she could only stop at Huang Yueli's knee and not see her face at all. Huang Yueli's voice was heard coming from the top of Yi Mingxuang's head. "Senior Sister Yi, didn't you say I wasn't able to hurt you within 3 moves? How about now? I remember Senior Sister Yi saying that I don't know my own limits, and you will teach me this lesson. So now, who taught her the lesson?" Yi Mingxuang's face flushed a bright shade of red, recalling the bold words that she had said just a few moments ago. Thinking back now, it seemed like a thorough joke. Huang Yueli had thrown all the words she had said right back at her. This was akin to slapping her right on her face. Even though Huang Yueli didn't lift a finger to slap her at all, she could thoroughly feel that her reputation had all been thrown away, and it was swollen until she was not able to face anyone anymore. You can also listen on. Yi Mingxuang was feeling both embarrassed and furious, but unfortunately, she had to stay in the position as she wasn't able to stand up and could only prostrate onto the ground right before Huang Yueli's feet. She had never for a moment been so humiliated in her entire life. She lowered her head as she couldn't help but wish for a hole to appear right before her so that she could hide into it. She could totally imagine that after today, she would become one of the laughing stock in the entire Celestial Light Academy. At this very moment, Yi Mingxuang had regretted her decision to listen to Li Shuer's incitation to help her teach this new student a lesson. She didn't even need this amount of star currency. Moreover, thinking back, she was obviously tricked by Li Shuer. This new student was from the same kingdom as Li Shuer, and would Li Shuer not know her true ability? Yet she didn't tell her beforehand. Isn't this an obvious scheme? Yi Mingxuang had started to grow in a deep hatred for Li Shuer. Actually, the person she should hate more is Huang Yueli. It was human nature to bully the weak and fear the strong. When she realized the power between them was so huge, she knew that she would never be able to defeat Huang Yueli. So, this debt could only be placed onto Li Shuer. Yi Mingxuang didn't say a single word and treated herself like a dead person, not making a single move as she laid on the ground, hoping that when Huang Yueli had won, she would leave on her own accord. But who knew that when Huang Yueli saw her not moving, she said, "Senior Sister Yi, you said it earlier, you'll let me take 3 strikes, and now there's 2 more strikes." When Yi Mingxuang heard these, her heart thumped, hoping that she had heard wrongly. At this moment, she had forgotten about the pain on her body as she raised her head and started at Huang Yueli. "WW, what do you intend to do?" Huang Yueli used her especially innocent look as she blinked her eyes and replied, "I didn't intend to do anything, but you said it yourself earlier that you'll let me make 3 strikes. Why? Are you not intending to keep your word?" Yi Mingxuang was on the verge of throwing up blood. This she had indeed said such things earlier. But the situation now and earlier had changed completely. Earlier, she thought she had an advantage, so she said that. But now that she had been defeated, and to be defeated in such a humiliating way, not in the least bit apprehensive, Huang Yueli was still biting onto the statement that she had made earlier. Even the academy's teacher on the tournament stage, who was responsible to be the referee, frowned slightly. "Miss Bai, Missy has already been defeated, and the outcome of the battle is now clear that you're the victor. So let's just stop wasting any more time on her." Huang Yueli replied, "Have I won? But senior sister, you didn't admit her defeat." "I've read through the martial arts stage battle rules, and as long as no one admits defeat, then silence will mean the competition will continue. Isn't it?" When Yi Mingxuang heard that, she hastily cried out, "I admit." But before she could say the word defeat, Huang Yueli had already made a move. Fire attributed profound energy instantly exploded as it caused Yi Mingxuang's body to jerk up into the sky again. "Second strike," Huang Yueli lightly called out. Yi Mingxuang was thrown high up into the air, and her body faced upwards as her head banged against the boundary of the array. And once again she was rebounded onto the ground. When Huang Yueli saw this, her eyebrows creased slightly as she mumbled, "What's the situation? This array is rather steady." At this moment, Yi Mingxuang was descending once again, and it seemed that she was about to crash onto the ground. Huang Yueli hurriedly struck out against the back of her waist. "Third strike." You can also listen on. Yi Mingxuang was totally unable to retaliate against her, and she didn't even have a single bit of reaction time, as she was struck realistically by that third strike. Her body flew horizontally outwards towards the corner of the tournament stage and crashed heavily. Bang! Following an intense sound accompanied with some tremors, the boundary of the array beside the stage gave out a wave of blue rays and subsequently lost its effect. Celestial Light Academy's martial arts stage had used this sturdy isolation array for years. It had actually been broken to smithereens on the spot. Yi Mingxuang's body flew outwards of the area of the tournament stage and flew towards the spectators' seating area. Finally, she crashed heavily onto the first row of the spectators' platform, and coincidentally, she had crashed right into Li Shuer. Li Shuer was stunned from watching the unforeseen events on the tournament stage and hadn't expected that even though she was isolated from a powerful fourth-tier array, such a huge misfortune would come crashing onto her. No one knew if it was so coincidental that when the both of them had knocked against each other, they happened to be facing one another, and as their foreheads knocked against one another with a bam, they had broken each other's head and blood started to flow immediately. Yi Mingxuang's body had several meridians broken and many bones broken, so when she crashed on Li Shuer, she could no longer take it as she sprayed out a mouthful of blackish blood, spraying it right onto Li Shuer's face. Thereafter, She rolled her eyes and fainted completely. As for Li Shuer, although there wasn't any obvious injuries, but to be knocked onto the head with such a severe crash was also a hard strike, and for a moment, she felt dizzy as she almost fell onto the ground. She had managed to stabilize herself with great difficulty, and before words could come out from her open mouth, the blackish blood was sprayed from Yi Mingxuang into her mouth. That feeling was extremely disgusting, and it had smoked Li Shuer so much that she fainted. After regaining consciousness, she squatted on one side and started to throw up. All the students present were completely stunned by Huang Yueli's lightning-fast strategy. No one had expected that Huang Yueli would be so vicious. Yi Mingxuang was obviously unable to win in that condition, but she had not shown any mercy and continued to strike. Moreover, the more terrifying thing was that she actually broke the array on the tournament stage. This was simply unbelievable. What exactly was her cultivation level? At this moment, Jiang Tuxin and Ling Wenbin had led Li Moying into the martial arts stage from the rear door. The academy's teachers would sometimes head over and take a look at the battles, but they didn't mingle with the students, but had an eagle's eye view seating isolated from the student spectator platform. Otherwise, if the principal and vice principal were to show their presence, it would have already caused a stir and the tournament would be prematurely terminated. When they just stepped in, they had coincidentally saw the move where Huang Yueli had broken through the array and were so shocked that their jaws fell onto the ground. What situation is this? She actually managed to break through the isolation array on the tournament stage? What on earth is her cultivation level? Jiang Tuxin nervously glanced at Li Moying, who had not said a word or made any movement. His gaze stopped onto the tournament stage when he entered and showed an expression which seemed to be lost in thought. Jiang Tuxin felt even more apprehensive as he berated his subordinates in a doleful expression. Get master who is in charge of maintaining the array here. What situation is this? I've said many times that the Academy's arrays are very important, and it must be maintained carefully. How can such an accident happen? You can also listen on. Ling Wenbin was not able to figure out what had happened as he was dumbfounded by Huang Yueli's shocking potential. But the moment he heard what Jiang Tuxin said, he finally realized what had happened. That's right, Huang Yueli had advanced into third stage realm in the entrance examinations that day, and he had witnessed it personally. How could a third stage realm practitioner possibly break through that array? Celestial Light Academy's arrays were able to resist against the attacks of a fifth stage realm practitioner. It seemed like the array had not been properly maintained and was worn down by years of non-repair as it started to malfunction. When Li Moying heard what they said, he turned his eyes away and casted a glance at Jiang Tuxin. He couldn't help but snickered as he felt it was rather funny. The methods that his little fox had used was so masterfully done that even an 8th-stage realm practitioner like Jiang Tuxin was not able to see through it. She's really worthy of being his woman. He kept a listening ear by the side and couldn't take it much longer. He was mainly shedding sympathy tears for that innocent array master. Master who? He was very clear that Huang Yueli's accomplishments on arrays was very high, and this 4th-tier array, right before their eyes, were obviously not able to stop her. It was highly possible that Huang Yueli had seen through the flaw of this array and directly found the weakest point in the array. With her exceeding potential, which surpassed any ordinary third-stage realm practitioner, and her accomplishment in array formations, she was able to pierce through it at one go. Jiang Tuxin was still attempting to explain to Li Moying, young sect master, our academy's management is not usually so messy, so this really is just an accident. An accident. Usually we had kept the array well maintained, and it's a wonder why it malfunctioned today. Seeing Principal Zhang's sincere attitude, he could only reply on behalf of Li Moying, Principal Jiang, don't be overly anxious. Your contributions towards Celestial Light Academy are all known to my master. The array's breakdown may not necessarily be due to lack of maintenance. It may also be possible that the student on the stage might be too powerful. I never expected that this year's top student to be so powerful. To be able to recruit such a talented practitioner, Principal Zhang's contributions is really not small. In Principal Zhang's heart, he simply didn't believe that Huang Yueli was able to break down the array based on her own power. But at this moment, he could only acknowledge what Mo was saying so as to shirk his responsibility. I don't deserve your praise. This is all part of my job. Thank you, young Sectmaster, for your understanding. Mo could tell that he didn't believe it, but didn't bother to make any further explanations. Secretly in his heart, he gave Huang Yueli a thumbs up. She's really worthy of being their future mistress. No matter where she went, she was able to cause a storm. On the martial arts stage, the crowd present were discussing about how Huang Yueli had defeated Yi Mingshuang with just one strike. But by the time she finished all her 3 strikes and broke through the array, the entire martial arts stage had completely quieted down to the extent that a pin drop could be heard. Everyone had been stunned by her shocking methods. Most of them had not thought that the array had malfunctioned or how Huang Yueli was able to see through the flaw of the 4th-tier array. All they felt was Yueli had overwhelming power, so strong that no one was comparable, which was why she could achieve this effect. In a moment, most of the people did not even dare to breath loudly. Even the referee teacher was stunned. He originally wanted to severely berate Huang Yueli for hitting on a person when she was down and out, but when he saw how the array had lost its effect right before his eyes, the berating words which about to come out was swallowed back as his attitude turned much gentler. This, Miss Bai, you're too rash. Earlier, Miss, he had already intended to admit defeat. You can also listen on. Huang Yueli smiled innocently. I'm so sorry. I didn't hear clearly earlier, and by the time I reacted, I had already struck and was unable to pull back. This explanation left everyone speechless. Did she need to be so fake? It was obvious that when Yi Mingshuang was considering to admit defeat, she snatched the opportunity to strike. Moreover, at the same time of striking her second move, which was still explainable by unable to react in time, she hurriedly followed by her 3rd strike. Recalling back the consequence of the 3rd strike, everyone started to shudder as they turned around to look at the half-dead Yi Mingshuang and Li Shui'er, who was affected by the wave, and they all secretly became terrified. Yi Mingshuang could be described as pitiful. Initially, she thought that she could bully the top student and instantly gain fame while earning star currency at the same time. She had never expected herself to befall onto such a situation. From her injuries, it wasn't any ordinary external injury at all. To be able to pierce through the isolation array, just how big was the intensity of the crash? Perhaps her entire meridians had already been broken into 17 or 18 pieces. Losing star currency was a small thing, but just by being rash and suffered irrecoverable injury would affect their future cultivation. Huang Yueli's lips curled up slightly when she saw the crowd's looks of dismay. This was exactly the effect that she wanted. The reason why she struck Yi Mingshuang so harshly wasn't without any reason, but was entire to appease her anger. In actual act, she had accepted a total of 14 battle invitations, and amongst those were core students who were ranked top 30 and had long surpassed Yi Mingshuang's power. If she had fallen just from one battle, no matter how confident she was of her own ability, but as time passed by, her energy would definitely go on the downhill as well. If she lost her concentration for just a second, an accident may happen and capsize her boat. Then it wouldn't be worth it at all. So Huang Yueli had already decided from the start that she would use fast-like-lightning method to clear up the first few contestants, and even severely injuring them. In this case, those who had yet to go on stage would felt terrified and realized that if they lost the battle against her, they might not only lose star currency, but incur some irreversible damage. With such intimidation, the number of contestants who dared to engage in a long battle with her would lessen significantly. Huang Yueli cast a glance towards Yi Mingshuang and said, "Then, now, senior sister Yi is prepared to admit her defeat?" When Yi Mingshuang heard the same question again, her entire body started to sweat profusely, showing signs of being terrified. Wu Fu. She wanted to reply and admit defeat immediately, but her mouth was filled with blood, and not knowing how many teeth had dropped, she was totally unable to say out a single word, and she almost cried out due to anxiety. Luckily, the referee teacher saw her situation and was really afraid that she might lose her life, so he hurriedly stepped in and said, "All right, let's consider it as her loss." According to tournament regulations, either the party admits defeat or leaves the tournament stage would be considered as a loss. She's no longer on the tournament stage now. Huang Yueli just replied with a "oh." So it's actually like this. So this is considered as senior sister Ye's loss then. Right. Missy had lost. This 100-star currency belongs to you now. Furthermore, you've replaced Miss Ye's ranking, and your ranking in the martial arts stage is not 69. The referee teacher quickly explained. When Huang Yueli heard that the star currency was already banked into her account, she gave a smile. Today looked like it was a day for her to strike it rich. She slowly walked to the center of the stage, and as her sights surveyed the entire place, her voice was heard clearly. Then, next contender. You can also listen on. Next contender. These 3 words were powerful, resonated throughout. The manner which it was said was as though a sledgehammer had slammed heavily onto everyone's hearts. Huang Yueli stood on the stage and maintained the same clothes and posture that she wore when she entered the stage earlier. Even the tone when she spoke was gentle and sweet as usual. However, in other people's ears, the strength in her words was totally different now. Because in the entire continent, power determined a person's position and identity. Huang Yueli had already proven her own power, and her existence was way above everyone present. The 10 over people who had sent their battle invitations to Huang Yueli were actually seated on the first row of the viewing platform. Before today, all of them wanted to see from the closest distance on how Huang Yueli had been defeated by them once and again, and the agony that she was in with all the regrets that she shouldn't have done this in the first place. But at this present moment, they couldn't wait to vanish from the spot immediately. Every single person tried their best to shrink their bodies in the hope that they would become smaller, just smaller by a bit. It would be best if Huang Yueli didn't notice them at all. Most of the contenders' power were not much different from Yiming Shuang, and some were not even her match. Recalling how Huang Yueli had defeated Yiming Shuang with that kind of crushing dry weeds and smashing rotten wood kind of strength, they all felt that they would definitely be defeated. Moreover, they would lose particularly badly. No one was willing to go on stage to battle. But Huang Yueli wasn't going to let them drag on endlessly. She repeated her question indifferently. Who is the next contender? Please don't waste everyone's time and hurry up on stage. I had accepted 14 battles today, and if everyone were to drag my time, then what time will I be able to end all the battles? I still need to hurry and cultivate. No one dared to respond. Huang Yueli was speechless, and she could only turn toward the referee teacher and inquired, "Teacher, what do you think we should do? Don't tell me that if they don't take up the challenge, then I have to keep waiting here?" The referee teacher replied, "If no one takes the initiative to come on stage, then we shall follow according to the battle invitation's timing in order." Wait a moment, referee teacher. Let me take up the challenge. Huang Yueli turned back to take a look. The person who spoke was a chubby youth who looked rather round. His facial features had a childish nature, but judging from his breath, his potential wasn't weak at all. He had yet to turn 18 and had already reached 3rd stage realm 6th level. He was considered as a top talent outside Celestial Light Academy. When the audience saw him, they started to get excited again. So it's him, Zhu Jiuqing. He's ranked 27th in the martial arts stage. Among the core students, his presence is extremely powerful. Moreover, he's not even 18 yet. Before he turns 20, he should be able to get into top 10 of the core students' ranking, and by then he will be able to join Celestial Light Sect and officially become an outer disciple. Zhu Jiuqing is one of the contenders who challenged by Rooli and the strongest one. If anyone were to be able to defeat the new top student, it would be him. Now that he's come on stage to challenge her, this competition should be stiff. Stiff your head. Think about it. That new top student broke through the isolation array. No matter how powerful Zhu Jiuqing is, Could he compete with her? He will definitely lose. He really is gutsy. Hasn't he seen what happened to Yiming Shuang? He should just hurry up and admit his defeat. You can also listen on. The crowd's discussions naturally was heard by Huang Yueli. She looked at Zhu Jiuqing and raised her brows. Why? You want to challenge me? You got to think carefully. When I strike, sometimes I cannot control my strength, and if I injure you accidentally, then you have to be responsible for the consequences. Zhu Jiuqing squeezed a smile from his chubby face, which seemed rather honest and sincere. This junior sister Bai, don't be mistaken. Actually, I also know that my power isn't comparable to yours, and I will definitely lose in your hands. I also know that challenging a new student like this is not glamorous, and if it wasn't for the fact that I owe junior sister Lee a personal favor, I won't even dabble in such a matter. Right now, I'll admit defeat to you, and my 1,000-star currency will belong to you. I only wanted to spar with you to ask for advice, so, junior sister, please bestow me your teaching. Huang Yueli was rather surprised, but this Zhu Jiuqing seemed rather sincere as he automatically passed his battle invitation to the referee teacher and admitted defeat on the spot. Her lips hooked upwards, and she replied, Since that's the case, I'll let you strike 3 times. Senior brother Zhu, please show me your move. Hearing that, the crowd was thrown into chaos instantly. In their eyes, Zhu Jiuqing was a legendary character in the academy and was an extremely powerful exponent. However, he had admitted in front of Huang Yueli that he wasn't her match and even automatically admitted defeat. That wasn't just it. He even said he wanted to spar with her and asked for her to give him advice. Was there a need to lower his stance? After all, no matter how powerful this lass was, she was just a new student. To Zhu Jiuqing, her experience was still very little and was a first-year junior sister. The more ridiculous person was Huang Yueli. Senior brother Zhu had already been so courteous, and when he spoke, he had lowered himself so much. By right, as a junior sister, she should display a humble look. The result was she had indifferently accepted Zhu Jiuqing's request and even prepared to teach him. Let's treat it as her power was indeed strong. But surely she wouldn't think of becoming Zhu Jiuqing's teacher, right? She really treated other people's politeness for real, even saying to let him strike 3 times. Oh my, this was really too arrogant. However, Zhu Jiuqing didn't reveal a frivolous attitude. Instead, he cautiously drew out his weapon, which was a huge sledgehammer. Junior sister, I'm going to strike. Watch carefully. Huang Yueli nodded as her favorable impression towards Zhu Jiuqing grew. Frankly speaking, with her previous lives, 9th stage realm cultivation and scope, it was more than enough to teach Zhu Jiuqing and enough to sprout light smoke on his ancestors' graves. Were the teachings from a 9th stage realm practitioner that easily obtainable? Moreover, Huang Yueli's unique strength existed predominantly among the 9th stage realm practitioners. When Zhu Jiuqing finished his sentence, both his arms raised up the huge sledgehammer and pounded towards Huang Yueli's direction. Just from the appearance of the sledgehammer, one could tell that it was a 4th-tier profound armament. It weighed at least 5,000 grams, and only Zhu Jiuqing was able to move it around. The minute he struck, the surroundings around the tournament stage started to bustle. Zhu Jiuqing was an earth-attributed practitioner, and when he waved that huge sledgehammer, the actual weight of the profound armament and with earth attributes additional support, that strength, was really not something that an ordinary person could handle. Huang Yueli had easily avoided his attacks, and at the same time, observe how he struck. Zhu Jiuqing had such good sight, wasn't arrogant or flustered, and could put himself down when necessary. He really was a rough diamond. Huang Yueli had intended to use this chance to soothe him to her side. You can also listen on. Very soon, Zhu Jiuqing's 3 moves were completed. Huang Yueli avoided his 3rd strike, and immediately after she struck, a strong, profound energy swept out. Fwa! Heavens! The minute Huang Yueli struck, the stage reverberated cries of alarm. Everyone knew that Huang Yueli would definitely strike after the 3rd move, but no one had expected her to strike in such a way. That slender, fair little hand clenched into a fist and thrust it out frontwards towards the huge sledgehammer's direction, directly crashing into it. Such a pretty weak hand crashing onto the huge sledgehammer made many people shut their eyes in shock. What was this? Was Huang Yueli this mad? Just basing on the intensity of strength. Zhu Jiuqing was one of the top among the core students, and yet Huang Yueli had bare-fistedly received Zhu Jiuqing's sledgehammer. Wasn't she looking for death? What if she hand was crushed? How horrifying would that be? After all, it was such a pretty little hand. After the cries of alarm, shortly afterwards was the sound of a huge pong. Many of them kept their eyes tightly shut, and after a long moment, they opened their eyes worried that all they saw was a delicate young beauty being pounded to minced meat. The result was, everyone rubbed their eyes in shock as their eyes widened, thinking that they had seen wrongly. The person who flew out was not Huang Yueli, but Zhu Jiuqing. As there was no obstruction of the isolation array, Zhu Jiuqing had flew out directly off the stage, and the huge sledgehammer in his hands also flew away. Luckily, Huang Yueli intentionally showed mercy, so Zhu Jiuqing wasn't badly battered and didn't suffer any serious injury. The surrounding students were only shocked and not hurt at all. However, this was just too strange. Huang Yueli had gone head-on against Zhu Jiuqing, and he was still holding on to a fourth-tier profound armament. The result was, Zhu Jiuqing was the one who lost? Could it be that that slender, delicate little beauty actually had that powerful strength? The person who was most shocked was Zhu Jiuqing himself. He stared blankly at Huang Yueli's slender little hand, and after he was sent flying, that hand didn't even leave any red mark. The profound skill that you used earlier was earth-attributed, but shouldn't you be a fire-attributed practitioner? Huang Yueli calmly smiled. Fire attribute is indeed the main attribute which I am cultivating, but I also have a bit of earth attribute innate talent, and had learnt several earth attribute profound skills. It's just so coincidental that you belong to the earth attribute. So, I've embarrassed myself. Zhu Jiuqing had already thought of Huang Yueli as someone with a high standing, but upon hearing what she said, he almost fainted. This was called a little earth attribute innate talent. He himself had a 5th grade upper earth attribute innate talent, and since Huang Yueli was able to defeat him in one move, could she have a 6th grade earth attribute innate talent? But she had said that her main cultivation was fire attribute. Then how strong was her fire attributed innate talent? Zhu Jiuqing felt that he didn't dare to even think about that. How on heavens would there be this abnormal person with such outstanding innate talent even exist? Huang Yueli continued to explain. Actually, the strength that I used earlier wasn't as great as yours, but was able to defeat you when we met. Can you understand what is the underlying logic? Your strength wasn't as strong as mine. Zhu Jiuqing went into a blank. Huang Yueli nodded. The strength that I used was probably only half of what you used. You can also listen on. Surely it's not possible? Zhu Jiuqing felt that he must have heard wrongly. Normally, if there was a direct collision and to be able to send the opponent flying, the strength used must at least be 2 times of the opponent. But now Huang Yueli was telling him that the strength that she used was not 2 times of his, but in actual fact, it was only half. How could such a thing possibly even happen? Huang Yueli explained. Actually, the logic is very simple. You're an earth-attributed practitioner, so your natural strength is already very powerful. So you intentionally used the heaviest profound weapon, and while practicing the profound skill, you followed the most ferocious pathway. Although it looks very powerful as though your strength had been used to the max, but in actual fact, strength itself doesn't represent the more stronger the better. Isn't the strong the better? Zhu Jiuqing had a confused expression. Huang Yueli continued, right. There's a saying called achieving the great while doing something little. What it means, if the direction and position of utilizing the strength is right, then only using a very small amount of power would enable you to resist against the strong power. The main point, if the control and the power and observation and balance between the opponent's strength. If you're just merely chasing after powerful strength, it's actually going down the wrong path. Hearing that, Zhu Jiuqing seemed to understand as he sunk into deep thoughts. Not only him, even many other Earth-attributed practitioners on the viewing platform started to think deeply. He took quite a long amount of time to think. Huang Yuli originally didn't want to break his thought, but looking that 1/4 of an hour had passed, and Zhu Jiuqing was still thinking, she could only call out, "Senior Brother Zhu. Actually, the profound skill that I used earlier is a method which was suitable for Earth-attributed practitioners to train. If you're interested, you can drop out a look for me, and we can discuss further." "Really?" Zhu Jiuqing's eyes shone. "You're willing to teach me that profound skill?" It really wasn't weird that he's so surprised. To most practitioners, the profound skills that they trained was their biggest ace, and normally few people would reveal it, not to mention teach it to others. Sometimes, even between masters and disciples, they also need to hide it or tuck it away, but Huang Yuli had secretly hinted to him that she would teach him this extremely high-level profound skill. Huang Yuli nodded. Zhu Jiuqing almost fainted with joy as he gladly waddled down the stage. Next one. A short moment of silence again. Just as the referee teacher was prepared to call out the number in order, someone finally stood up. This time, it was Hu Jingyao on stage. Very obviously, when he saw the two battles between Huang Yuli versus Yi Mingshuang and Zhu Jiuqing, he already realized how little he was. So Hu Jingyao didn't bother with any superfluous words, passed his battle invite to the referee teacher, and bowed towards Huang Yuli's direction. "I admit defeat. To escape without a battle was an embarrassing matter. But the minute someone had started, the remaining 10 over people had no more misgivings and went on stage continuously. I admit defeat. I admit defeat. I admit defeat." Very quickly, all the contenders were on stage, and without any exception, all of them expressed their defeat. Since they were destined to be defeated and were going to be embarrassed, they would definitely lose their star currency. So why risk being seriously injured in battle? Huang Yuli was all smiles as she accepted their defeats, as her eyes had already turned into the shape of a crescent. Star currency, oh star currency. A huge amount of star currency came flying towards her. You can also listen on. This time, after going through the series of battles, she had earned over 10,000 star currency. Not only that, before she started her battles, she had hurriedly placed a bet of 20,000 medium-grade spirit stones that she would win all her battles. This time, another 200,000 medium-grade spirit stones were in her account. This was a huge amount of fortune. In the entire Celestial Light Academy, probably not many people had that much money. Thinking of the bets, Huang Yuli's sight swept towards Li Shuer once again. The banker in charge of this bet seemed to be Li Shuer. She had organized so many betting stations with the intention to view Huang Yuli as a joke, but now Huang Yuli had managed to win all her battles, and she had bet such a huge amount of spirit stones. This was all coming from Li Shuer. As expected, Li Shuer's expression was as ugly as it could be. She had been knocked until her head was bleeding by Yi Mingshuang earlier, and luckily, it only looked serious, but in actual fact, it was just a slight external injury. After applying emergency first aid to stop the bleeding, her condition had improved. Li Shuer bore with the pain and refused to leave the martial arts stage just to witness with her own eyes on the ending of the competition, because she absolutely refused to believe that Huang Yuli would be able to win all her battles. When she heard Zhu Jiuqing was going on stage, Li Shuer couldn't help but feel happy. After all, this was the strongest person whom she had invited to deal with Huang Yuli among all the others. The result was that fellow actually directly admitted his defeat and even asked Huang Yuli for advice. Li Shuer almost fainted on the spot out of rage. This pighead wasted so much of my efforts trying to get into his good books. He actually couldn't even defeat this wretched lass. All her hopes were dashed by the various scenes afterwards. Everyone who went up on stage said, "I admit defeat." All these were like a knife, slicing her heart, making her bloody and painful. Huang Yuli, she actually won all her battles. won all her battles. How was that possible? Recalling that Huang Yueli had placed a bet of 20,000 medium-grade spirit stones earlier, Li Shuer almost wanted to knock herself to death. 200,000 medium-grade spirit stones. Where was she going to magic it out? Even if you sell her, she wouldn't cost that much money. Huang Yueli saw her ashen face and her discomposed look where her forehead was still stained with blood. Her lips curled into a smile. Senior Sister Li, you're such a good person and simply too generous. You know that I just entered the academy and was in need of money, so you actually gave timely assistance, giving me so many spirit stones. Just 2 words of thank you is not able to express the deep gratitude that I have for you. Huang Yueli's eyes turned watery as though she was deeply moved. This made Li Shuer even more enraged to the point of spitting out blood. But 200,000 medium-grade spirit stones is really not a small amount. Moreover, this bet's grade period is only 3 days. Senior Sister Li, you have to prepare properly. If you owe money and not return, it is highly possible that you will be expelled from Celestial Light Academy. Li Shuer knew this very well. To open a betting station in the academy, it must be registered, as if they were not able to cough out the money. The consequences were very severe. The lightest would be to deduct star currency to exchange for the debt. But in severe cases, there were students who were expelled previously. Thinking of this, Li Shuer's eyes blacked out, and before she could even breathe, she had fainted on the ground. In a secret corner of the viewing platform, Li Moying, Jiang Tuxin, and the others had sat there for quite long and had seen all that happened on the tournament stage. You can also listen on. Huang Yueli's shocking performance left Jiang Tuxin dumbstruck, thinking that he definitely had seen an illusion. Isn't this too outrageous? She's just a new student, and yet, even Zhu Jiuqing was defeated by her. If I didn't remember wrongly, she's only 14. Zhu Jiuqing was already the top 30 core students, and this type of person had a high possibility of joining Celestial Light Sect. Because of that, he had left an impression with the principal. And Mo Yi said, "Is there a need to be so shocked? There's always someone better out there, so it can only be said that this Miss Bai is really an outstanding cream of the crop. Moreover, just based on her looks and demeanor, you can tell that she's extraordinary. Her future achievements and fate is unimaginable." Jiang Tuxin didn't expect Mo Yi to give her such a high evaluation. After all, Mo Yi himself had joined Celestial Light Sect since young. His innate talent was extremely outstanding. Adding on to the sect's nurturing, his potential and cultivation when he was 14 was even higher than the current Huang Yueli. He had actually spared no effort in praising this new student. What Jiang Tuxin didn't know was when Mo Yi finished his words, he turned secretly towards Li Moying to steal a glance. Ever since Li Moying had arrived at the viewing platform, his expression was icy, and he didn't say a single word while staring at the tournament stage. That cold, aloof look was akin to the stars in the sky, high up and out of reach. Jiang Tuxin and Ling Wenbin were scared stiff when they saw his expression, not daring to speak a single word to him. Only Mo Yi was able to tell that even though Li Moying had an aloof expression, his mood was extremely good. That sharp peach blossom eyes looked more peaceful than ever. Especially after Mo Yi had praised Huang Yueli, Li Moying even casted a glance at him. The glint of smile in his eyes was obvious that he was delighted because the lady that he liked was praised, no different from a young lad experiencing love for the first time. Mo Yi sighed his heart. Master had really gone deep this time. When Jiang Tuxin heard what Mo Yi said, they also started to praise Huang Yueli with all their might. Li Moying heard those praises for a while, suddenly stood up and said, "Today's not early anymore. Since the tournament had ended, then you can also go prepare a little." Jiang Tuxin went into a blank. This, young sect master, forgive me for my ignorance. I wonder your purpose in coming to Celestial Light Academy is for... Li Moying looked at him and said, "Principal Jiang, please don't be worried. My purpose in this trip is to settle some personal matters only." Personal matters? Jiang Tuxin and Ling Wenbin looked at each other in the eye, both looking confused. Li Moying didn't explain further, but put his glance back onto the tournament stage before he suddenly said, "The new top student on the stage. Where's she staying right now?" Jiang Tuxin was at a loss now, but he still replied, "Every first year's top 10 students have their own individual courtyard, and as Bairoli is the new top student, the location that she's staying is the best, not far away from below the spiritual artery. There are mountains on one side and water on the other. The profound qi is also more abundant, which makes it suitable for cultivation. Our academy will always give those outstanding, innate, talented students." Jiang Tuxin wanted to take this opportunity to exaggerate how effective his management of the academy was, but who knew he had just started and was cut off. "Help me arrange a courtyard just beside Bairoli, and additionally help me arrange an identity. Tomorrow onwards, I will stay at Celestial Light Academy for a while, assuming the identity of a student. You can also listen on." What? Jiang Tuxin was completely stupefied. He really don't understand why this almighty, outstanding young sect master would initiate such a request. Just based on his identity and position, no matter what personal matters he had, he only needed to give his instructions. Which Celestial Light sect member would not do their best to be of service to him? Was it even necessary to come to Celestial Light Academy personally and to stay here using the role of a student? Jiang Tuxin suddenly thought of something. Li Moying had specially requested to stay next to Huang Yueli. Could it be that these two people... This thought had just flashed past, and Jiang Tuxin quickly casted this idea away. He must really be thinking too much. No matter what, young sect master could not possibly take interest in such an ordinary young lass. No matter how good her innate talent was, compared to young sect master, there was still a huge difference. Moreover, Celestial Light Sect had this rumor running for years that young sect master and elder Miss Murong were childhood friends and were getting engaged very soon. With such a beautiful and shockingly talented fiancée, young sect master would never take interest in a lass from that small country. "Principal Jiang, do you have any more questions?" Li Moying's chilly voice was heard. Jiang Tuxin shuddered and immediately retracted his senses. "No question. No questions at all. I will follow young sect master's instructions and arrange everything properly." Li Moying nodded and was about to add on. Suddenly his vision swept across the tournament stage and halted for a moment before his expression changed. The surrounding temperature immediately dropped by a few degrees. Young sect master, the few of them went into a blank and followed his line of vision. On the tournament stage, Huang Yueli saw Li Shui'er fainted out of exasperation and shrugged her shoulders sympathetically. Since she had already fainted, then there was no meaning in her staying behind. Anyway, Li Shui'er could not renege on her debt, so she was preparing to leave. Who knew the minute she turned around, an anguish-implicit voice was heard from her back. "Bairoli, stand right there." Huang Yueli's footsteps halted as she turned around. Behind her stood a tall, thin youth, roughly around 20 years old or so. Just looking at his features, he was rather handsome, but his expression was pale, and there were dark eye rings underneath his eyes. He looked like he had excessive indulgence and debauchery, and didn't seem like a good person. However, from his breathing, his potential was rather extraordinary. He was already at 3rd stage 9 level cultivation, just one step away at the gates of 4th stage realm. Huang Yueli's brows raised as she asked calmly, "Who are you?" The youth raised his chin high, and with an arrogant look, he harumphed coldly, "You don't even know who I am?" Huang Yueli was speechless, and she couldn't be bothered to talk to him as she turned around to leave. "Stand right there. You dare to leave?" Seeing that Huang Yueli didn't bother about him, the youth was infuriated and immediately dashed up to the front of Huang Yueli, blocking her way. Huang Yueli swept him a glance. "Please step aside. A good dog doesn't block one's way." You dare to call me a dog?" It was obvious that the youth was seldom despised by others, and he was so angry that he clenched his teeth. "You're really an ignorant, shameless, and arrogant lass. No wonder you managed to angrily Shui'er to this state. Don't know you that Shui'er is under my protection. Whoever dares to make her unhappy is the same as slapping my face." Huang Yueli blinked her eyes and she started to come around. Oh, so you're Li Schwenner's lover. You can also listen on. You actually dare to vilify Sewer. Have you taken bear's heart and leopard's gall? You really don't know who I am? The youth couldn't help but ask once again. Huang Yueli couldn't help but laugh out. I've never seen such narcissism before. Are you a spirit stone or star currency? Do I need to recognize you? Since you yearn to be famous, then report your own name. Otherwise, quickly get lost. The youth's expression was as ugly as it could be. As one of the top exponents in Celestial Light Academy, this was the first time he was completely despised. At this moment, the viewing platform started to stir. Although Huang Yuli didn't know which chive or garlic this fellow was, but in the eyes of the old students in Celestial Light Academy, this youth's name reverberated like thunder. Isn't that Lei Zichu? Heavens, today's tournament also activated him. Lei Zichu is one of the top exponents who is ranked top 10 in the martial arts stage. All the students who were ranked top 10 in our academy's martial arts stage are all top-rated peerless exponents. As compared to Zhu Jiuqing, those who are in the top 30s, the difference in abilities is simply too huge. Why did he come here? You don't know about this. I've heard some people saying that Lei Zichu seemed to be chasing Li Shuer. This time round, Li Shuer had suffered great losses from this betting station because she was conned by Bairuoli, so Lei Zichu wanted to stand up for Li Shuer. What? The playboy Lei Zichu abused his influence as the young master of Lei family and had ruined so many beautiful and innocent female practitioners. Why would be Wu Li Shuer? Li Shuer is after all an armament intern who has a bright future ahead of her. Which practitioner doesn't hope for their own specialized armament master? Moreover, he's just wooing Li Shuer and never said anything about marrying her to become his wife? Then what's the situations now? Lei Zichu is the top 10 exponents in the martial arts stage. Just based on his ability, after attending the Academy's great meet this year, he would probably be able to enter Celestial Light Sect. With such ability and status, will he even go on stage to deal with a new student? This is hard to say. He's bristling with anger over a beauty. This young master Lei wants to perform well in front of Li Shuer, so there's no guarantee that he wouldn't strike. The crowd's discussions had flowed into Huang Yueli's ears. She showed an enlightened look and said, I really can't tell that you're one of the top 10 in martial arts stage. When Lei Zichu heard this, he held out his chest, and his expression turned even more aloof. That's right. I'm Lei Zichu. Cultivation at 3rd stage, realm 9th level. Martial arts stage, ranking number 8. When he spoke, his arms were crossed over his chest, and his pair of eyes were casting sidelong glances at Huang Yueli, waiting to see her shocked expression. What concept was martial arts stage, ranking number 8? Lei Zichu believed that all the students in Celestial Light Academy would know. In the past, whenever he called out his own name, other than those whose ranking were higher than him, the others were all shocked and scared, treating him with respect carefully. Who knew when Huang Yueli heard this? She only replied indifferently with a "oh," and Light replied, just number 8? Although the ranking is slightly low, but you need not to feel too inferior. Not everyone under the world can be number 1. Surely there would be several low-ranking ones to serve as a background accompanier in order to bring out the top people with greater brilliance. Lei Zichu went into a blank, and following that, his expression turned green. Inferior? Was she blind? How did she see him as inferior? And to say that a young master Lei like him was just a low-ranking accompanier in the background? You can also listen on. Lei Zichu's expression was as still as water as the stare on Huang Yueli grew gloomier and colder. You brag at such a young age. Did you think that just because you defeated that trashy Zhu Jiuqing, you'd be able to win across the entire Celestial Light Academy? Let me tell you this, the ability of the top 10 contenders in the martial arts stage, as compared to those beneath the top 10, is as different as sky and earth. Although you defeated Zhu Jiuqing, but under my hands, you probably won't even be able to make one move. Huang Yueli looked at him, displaying a smile, but yet not a smile. If I don't understand you wrongly, you're intent on taking revenge for Li Shuer? That's right. All right. Huang Yueli smiles as her attitude was extremely pleasant. Li Shuer owes me 200,000 medium-grade spirit stones, and you will just need to help her return those. As you're paying on her behalf, I won't charge you any additional fees. How about that? Good enough? Lei Zichu gritted his teeth as he looked at her. Do you think I'm an idiot? How dare you trick me like this? I'm telling you, Li Shuer's matter is my matter, and I'm set on taking charge. The bet that you had set doesn't count, and I'll return you your original amount, and that's considered as settled. I advise you to take your 20,000 spirit stones and leave. Otherwise, Huang Yueli's expression turned chilly. This is funny. When I placed my bets, didn't Li Shuer accept it happily? Now that she's lost, you say that the bet isn't counted? If you agree to bet, you must be prepared to lose. Does the martial arts stage top 10 all act as though this had never happened? If you wanted to give up, that's not possible. What do you want? Just say it straight. Since you're not going to take the proffered wine and prefer the punishment wine. Lei Zichu took a step forward as he said sinisterly, then don't blame me for not standing on ceremony, saying that he whipped out a battle invitation and passed it to Huang Yueli. What's the meaning of this? Huang Yueli accepted the battle invite and asked unconcernedly after taking one glance. Lei Zichu laughed coldly. Isn't my intention very clear? I'm challenging you. Do you dare to accept my battle invitation? Huang Yueli took a look at him and immediately understood his intention. Lei Zichu's intention to challenge her at this timing was very obvious. That was to end Huang Yueli's consecutive wins. When she had placed a bet with Li Shuer, the bet was that she could win all her battles today. So if Lei Zichu were to win this round, then Huang Yueli would not be considered as all-win, and Li Shuer would not need to pay her 200,000 medium-quality spirit stones. Huang Yueli was not the only one who could see what was happening. The audience were not silly as they all started to clamor. Hey, this is bullying the weak. A top 10 martial arts stage contender against a new student who had just joined a few days ago. If this were to spread, how embarrassing would it be? That would depend on the type of new student. With Bairuoli's ability, she is ridiculously strong. Even Zhu Jiuqing, who is ranked top 30, is not her match. Perhaps only Lei Zichu is qualified to exchange a few moves. But no matter how strong her ability is, she's merely a new student. No matter how you see it, Lei Zichu has an unfair advantage in this contest. But this kind of last-minute battle invite, surely Bairuoli won't accept it, right? She must accept. Have you forgotten the rules of the martial arts stage? Those contenders who had won consecutively for 10 rounds must accept whoever's challenge from the 11th round onwards and cannot reject. Earlier, those 10 over people who had admitted defeat is equivalent to her winning 10 over rounds. I remember now. Then, isn't this Bairuoli finished? Everyone felt that Lei Zichu was shameless and had all stood on Huang Yueli's side. But yet no one felt that Huang Yueli was able to win. You can also listen on. Lei Zichu himself also believed so. He had arrived late earlier and missed Huang Yueli's first 2 matches. He only heard the others saying this new top student's ability is very strong, and she even defeated Zhu Jiuqing. But Lei Zichu was very clear on Zhu Jiuqing's cultivation and ability, which was totally incomparable with his. It doesn't represent anything when Huang Yueli defeated Zhu Jiuqing. He was extremely certain about his victory. Huang Yueli saw his arrogant expression and laughed secretly. Lei Zichu's mentality was something that she admired, extremely admired. He should just continue to maintain this state of mind. Otherwise, how is she going to scheme him? Lei Zichu looked Huang Yueli in her eyes. How is it? You also heard for yourself. You cannot reject my battle invitation. This battle, you'll definitely lose, so don't even think about the spirit stones. You'd better admit your loss automatically otherwise. I'm not someone who knows how to treat a lady deadly. Seeing that you're a delicate little beauty, his lips cracked out into an evil smile. Otherwise, if you're disfigured accidentally by me, it'd be such a waste. A layer of frost was seen in Huang Yueli's eyes, but there wasn't any change to her expression. You're sure you want to send me the battle invitation? Naturally, I'm sure. Of course, if you're intending to beg me. Huang Yueli cut him off. You can challenge me, but how much are you intending to bet? Bet. Lei Zichu was stunned, not expecting her to mention about the bet, but following that he laughed. You're afraid I will bet too much star currency and win back all your earnings? Hee hee. The more you're afraid, the more I will bet. I must let you know what kind of consequences you will face when you offend the person whom I am protecting. Huang Yueli replied, After I've won all the 14 battles, I have a total of 11,440 star currency. This is not a small amount. Are you sure you have 10 times that amount of star currency to bet on? Lei Zichu sneered. Did you think that by saying such things, you can drag on and make me hesitate to bet lesser star currency? Let me tell you, you're thinking too much. Unless you kneel down and lick Li Shuer's shoe. Otherwise, I must bet this 11,000 star currency and make you lose beyond what you can recoup. Don't think I don't know. You have 1,000 star currency, which is under the school's guarantee. If you're not able to repay that amount, the consequences will be dire. Saying that, he turned around and threw his identity token to the referee teacher. Referee teacher, Bairuoli has already accepted my battle invitation. I'm betting 11,400 star currency. Referee teacher received his identity token, but he seemed rather hesitant. Mr. Lei, this isn't so good, right? This is too vicious, right? Referee teacher wanted to counsel him, but Huang Yueli directly butted in. Since Mr. Lei had already said until like this, I'm not someone who's afraid as well, then I shall accept this battle invitation. Referee teacher, I'm betting all my star currency on this. Huang Yueli slammed her identity token onto the table. What? Referee teacher was completely dumbstruck and didn't regain his senses after quite some time. Not only him, the entire martial arts stage started to roar with excitement again. No one had expected Huang Yueli to be so fearless of Lei Zichu's battle invitation. Moreover, she placed such a huge amount of bet. This simply was a match of a real gambler. You can also listen on. Heavens, Bairuoli really accepted the battle and placed such a huge amount of bet. How does she dare to? The opponent she is facing now is Mr. Lei. Martial arts stage ranking 8th Mr. Lei. Isn't she just a little too brave? Had the continuous victories earlier got to her head and became irrational? Does she even know what she's doing? Now she's won consecutively for more than 10 rounds and had earned 10,000 over star currency, considered as a big winner. But she's bet all she got on this battle, and moreover, it's almost impossible for her to win. Then she will go from winning to incur debts. Having owed the Academy 1,000 over star currency, how will she be able to pay? But she has no choice but to do this, right? Mr. Lei had already said until this manner, if she didn't dare to accept, then wouldn't she be a coward? It will also affect her belief in victory and will disadvantage her future pursuit towards martial arts. I'd never expect Mr. Lei to be willing to go to such extent for Li Shuer. Isn't Li Shuer too lucky? Li Shuer was so touched until she was tearing up as she spoke softly. Mr. Lei, I'd never expected that you'd treat me so well. In future, I'll listen to you. Various astonishing discussions were heard, and Lei Zichu's smile could not be concealed. He was most afraid that Huang Yueli would admit defeat on her own and kneel down to beg for mercy. In this case, even though she had gained back her face, but Li Shuer would definitely feel that it was not enough to appease her anger. Now things were going smoothly, and this wretched lass had thought too highly of herself and accepted his challenge head-on. Very well, today he would give this wretched lass an unforgettable lesson. After he had won this battle, not only would he earn 10,000 star currency, Li Shuer, whom he had wooed for several months, would also willing head into his embrace and become a member of his harem. Even Jiang Tuxin and the rest who were hiding in the corner were feeling jittery for Huang Yueli. This last ability is indeed not bad, but this character isn't a little too rash. She actually bet all her fortune on this? As the saying goes, A wise man knows better than to fight when the odds are against her. Since she already knew that she will take a major disadvantage in this battle, why must she insist on crashing head-on? AI, she's still too young. Ling Wenbin also sighed silently. Only Mo smiled as he said, Principals, you don't need to be too worried. I think this Miss Bai talks with confidence and has her own planning, so she probably has some certainty before she accepted this challenge. Has come certainty? Then you guys don't know Lei Shichu's ability. Lei Zichu will definitely be able to join our sect this year and even become an inner disciple within 1 year. Bairuoli's innate talent has indeed surpassed Lei Zichu, but she's still young. If she were to train in Celestial Light Academy for 1 year, it wouldn't be a surprise for her to defeat Lei Zichu. But now, it's still too early. Jiang Tuxin shook his head as he explained. Moi turned around to look at Li Moying as he smiled, but didn't say a word. Li Moying noticed his mocking glance and turned his head to shoot him an icy glance. Mo lowered his head, but was laughing up his sleeve. Jiang Tuxin commented, It looks like this battle is going to take some time. I'd better accompany young sect master to settle your matters and not delay your official work. Whoever knew that Li Moying, who was just saying he wanted to leave 1 minute ago, had suddenly turned around expressionlessly and sat down once again. Young sect master, didn't he just said he had some matters to settle? You can also listen on. Li Moying displayed a cold face, and, as he didn't say anything, Jiang Tuxin didn't dare to ask further. Only Mo sniggered secretly. His master was so tsundere, and only Third Miss had the ability to tame him. Everything had its vanquisher. The battle officially started. Lei Zichu stood on the stage and completely unleashed the might of his profound energy at the first opportunity. Although he had the confidence to win, he also knew that the lass standing opposite him had intimidated the whole audience and was definitely not someone to trifle with, so he didn't dare to underestimate his opponent. In this case, Huang Yueli would immediately be placed under quite an amount of pressure. Lei Zichu's ability was indeed extraordinary, and his cultivation was truly at 3rd stage Realm 9 level. It had exceeded her 3rd stage Realm 3rd level by 6 small realms. In cultivation, the distance between each small realm was very big, and the profound energy for every small realm would increase at least by 1-fold. If it were any other practitioner, facing such a huge disparity, there was no point in this battle at all. Just relying on profound armament and profound skills would be insufficient to step over the distance. Huang Yueli rarely revealed some senses of congealment as she secretly adjusted the profound energy within her body. At this point, Lei Zichu had already took the opportunity and made a move. He was a dual attributed practitioner in wind and thunder, and he had an exceptional advantage in terms of speed. His moves were swift and strike after strike. He struck out consecutively. His moves were getting faster and faster after each strike. Not only was it fast, his attack power was also exceptionally shocking. The sword in his hand was sparking with threads of electricity, and just looking at it, one could tell that the might was extraordinary. If one was grazed by his sword, one would definitely incur a serious injury. Moreover, as Lei Zichu's cultivation was higher, he held an advantage in terms of grandeur. Momentarily, the entire stage was sparking with electricity, and waves of wind could be heard as it was filled with Lei Zichu's sword reflections. Huang Yueli's petite figure was like a leaf of small boat trying to maintain its stability in a storm, completely enveloped and on the verge of collapse. The audience stared with their eyes wide open, not daring to make any sounds as they held their breaths, worrying for Huang Yueli. I haven't seen Lei Zichu made a move for several months, and his potential has improved. Now, he should be able to challenge the martial arts stage number 7. No number 6. This is just too terrifying. Such a strong sword. What's that last going to use and block his attacks? But Bairuoli's evasion tactic is rather strong. If it were me, I'd probably be stabbed 17 or 18 times and become a porcupine. She's still okay with no injury. But just based on evasion, she doesn't have any chance of winning and will lose sooner or later. Huang Yueli moved around on the stage with her skilled footworks, avoiding Lei Zichu's attacks. The audience were guessing that she had a hard time trying to evade, but in actual fact, she had it rather easy. Although Lei Zichu's ability was strong, but for her, it wasn't really that powerful. When she was still a second stage Realm 9 level practitioner, she had defeated the fourth stage Realm Imperial Tutor, so defeating a Lei Zichu was an easy feat for her. The only difference was when she was handling the Imperial Tutor, it was at an isolated area with no one around at that time, whereas now facing so many other practitioners under their pairs of eyes, she was unwilling to reveal her ace, and neither was she willing to throw out a huge amount of fourth-tier profound armaments. If she were to do it in that way, it was akin to telling the whole world that she was very suspicious. But as Lei Zichu's cultivation was so strong and his base was very sturdy, no matter in terms of cultivation method, profound skills, or even profound weapons, his usage was remarkable. Facing such an opponent, it would pose some difficulty if she didn't expose her ace. You can also listen on. Because of this, Huang Yueli had been waiting for a chance patiently. Lei Zichu saw her constant evading and thought that her potential was just so-so, and his heart started to grow signs of despise. Humph! This new top student was only so-so and was only comparable to Zhu Jiuqing that type of quality. When she meets a real top exponent, she could only escape for her life. Just this bit of ability, and she dared to schemely swear. But all thanks for her arrogance. He had this chance to be a hero saving a damsel in distress. Wretched lass, do you only know how to hide? Your footwork isn't too bad, but I'm telling you, even if you hide, it's useless. My cultivation is so much higher than yours. Your profound energy will definitely deplete first. By then, you'll still lose, so why don't you hurry and kneel? As time went by, Lei Zichu completely lost his initial prudency. In his heart, this lass couldn't possibly have any resistance against him. The disparity between their abilities were miles apart. Because of this, while he was ridiculing her, the speed of his strikes were getting slower. Huang Yueli quickly saw the flaw in his strokes, and her lips curled up coldly. She had been waiting for this chance. Huang Yueli took the opportunity and turned her head swiftly as her eyes met Lei Zichu's pupils, and their soul trace crashed against each other. Piercing sky eye technique was unleashed. Lei Zichu was still complacently talking when he suddenly stopped short. The front of his eyes blacked out, and for a moment, it was a cloud of blank in his mind as he completely lost his conscience. By the time he regained his senses, he could only feel immense pain coming from his body, as though his bones were going to fall apart. Cries of surprise came echoing from all directions from the entire martial arts stage. Lei Zichu's smile had yet to fade, but at this moment he had fallen flat on the ground. His facial features twisted from the pain. From what other people's impression, he had an expression which neither looked like crying nor laughing, and he looked comical yet dreadful. At this moment, the referee teacher's voice was heard from the tournament stage. Lei Zichu has fallen out of the tournament stage's boundary, so according to the battle regulations, the winner of this battle is by Ruoli. Lei Zichu had completely went dull at this moment, completely unable to comprehend how he had been defeated. Earlier, he had obviously gained an upper hand, and that lass had no way to hold him off at all, seeing that she was about to lose, but just at that instant, why did he suddenly lose consciousness? What happened at that moment? Not only him, although the audience on the viewing platform did not lose their consciousness, but no one could tell what actually happened earlier. Everyone looked at each other in dismay as they exchanged queries. What happened? Did you see how she struck earlier? Even Jiang Tuxin had a dumbfounded expression. He had been fiddling with his own beard watching the competition, but at the moment when Huang Yueli had sent Lei Zichu flying, as he was overly shocked, his hands trembled and tore off a few strands of his beloved beard, which made him extremely heart pain. This lass actually won. Something like this actually happened. Ling Wenbin commented, the disparity between their abilities was indeed very huge, but this lass had a set of high-leveled footwork. It should be inherited by Lu Foam to be able to evade such a swift attack. Based on the foundation of complete evasion, she had been using psychological warfare to numb Lei Zichu. Plus her sharp eyes, she was able to find the flaw in Lei Zichu's swordplay and use that chance to defeat him within one move. You can also listen on. Saying that, he couldn't stop exclaiming, "This lass is really something." This is considered as a classic example of the weak winning the strong, especially when Lei Zichu only had that short span of flaw. Even if I were to go into a trance, it would be extremely difficult to catch hold of, but she managed to do so in one shot. Li Moying stretched out his hand as he touched his chin, but eventually he couldn't bear it and let out a slight smile. The weak winning the strong? I think it's a mouse being tricked by a cat. Young sect master, you said something? Li Moying's voice was extremely soft, so Jiang Tuxin didn't hear him clearly. However, Li Moying didn't answer him. An extremely anxious expression filled his face as he stood up from his seat. Young sect master. Jiang Tuxin has just said those few words, but he'd already seen Li Moying's shadow suddenly escaping out and at lightning speed rushing towards the center of the tournament stage. What happened? The few of them hurriedly stood up, but they were not able to chase up to Li Moying's speed. On the tournament stage, Huang Yueli was all smiles as she walked towards the referee teacher and received her own identity token. Star currency in Celestial Light Academy were all directly deposited in everyone's identity token, and since the winner and loser had been determined, referee teacher directly deposited 11,000 over star currency into her identity token. Lei Zichu laid flat on the ground, watching with his own eyes how his star currency disappeared. Gone. He felt a twitching pain in his heart as his expression became even twisted. This was not just a little star currency, not tens, not hundreds or thousands, but 11,000. What concept was 11,000? An ordinary student from the start till graduation may find it hard to even earn 1,000 star currency, because just based on the Academy's conventional missions, earning star currency was just too difficult. Only those core students with powerful abilities and ranked top few in martial arts stage were able to continuously battle and hunt the high-level magical beast to exchange for star currency. Then would the speed pick up. But although those top-ranking practitioners earn star currency quickly, they spend it even faster. They need more high-leveled cultivation methods, profound skills, higher grade of profound armament, and even more closed-door cultivation timing than the others. All of these were exchanged using star currency. In this way, the star currency that they spent were like flowing water, and sometimes they'd even spend it all in one day, which was what others made in an entire year. Lei Zichu naturally was an exception. The amount of star currency that he had was just about this 10,000 or so. To have 10 over 1,000 of spare cash, he originally intended to go to the Academy's profound weapon chambers to exchange for a piece of 5th-tier profound armament to raise his own ability. For that 5th-tier profound armament, he had already accumulated it for a very, very long time. He didn't even bear to rent the best closed-door cultivation room, just so that he could exchange for the profound armament to amaze everyone with a single brilliant feat in the second semester of the Academy's meet. Just because star currency was very difficult to earn. So besides standing up for Li Shuer, he was also eyeing Huang Yueli's 10 over 1,000 star currency. Just one battle, and he would be able to gain 10,000 star currency. Such a good thing doesn't happen very often unless it was a battle between the top 10 contenders, then would they bet such huge stakes. But the risk in losing this kind of battles is very huge, and in fact it was very risky, not as relaxing as bullying a new student. But each new student only had 100 star currency of asset, and there wasn't any other advantage, so Lei Zichu normally wouldn't lower himself to find trouble for them. This round was totally different, and using the excuse of saving a damsel in distress, plus the temptation of 10,000 star currency, where would you find such a good opportunity? You can also listen on. Lei Zichu was counting his eggs before they hatched. thinking that this was a good chance to shoot 3 condors with 1 arrow and would absolutely fill his tubs with riches. Whoever knew that towards the end, not only did he not gain anything, he actually lost all 11,000 star currency. How did things turn out to be so abnormal? Why was that new stop student so ridiculously strong? Whenever Lei Zichu recalled how hard he worked to accumulate those star currency just to lose it all in this battle, which he was absolutely sure that he would win, into an unknown new student's pocket, he was so infuriated until he almost fainted. His star currency. Such a huge amount of star currency. Moreover, losing the star currency was already very pitiful. He had confidently swore that he would win this battle. But now, it was akin to a resounding slap on his face. His martial arts stage rank, right, was lost to a new student. In future, how was he able to raise his head up? The most infuriating of all was when Lei Zichu turned to look at Li Shuer. He realized that Li Shuer was backing away slowly from him, pulling apart their distances. Lei Zichu was so infuriated as he clenched his teeth and hissed out at her. Li Shuer took another step back and said, "Time's almost up. I gotta go. I still have that several 100,000 medium-grade spirit stones to return." Li Shuer was filled with disgust towards Lei Zichu. Some time ago, she had thought that Lei Zichu was powerful enough and could depend on him and could only thought of how to loosen the reins only to grasp him better, using all sorts of ways to capture his heart. But now upon seeing Lei Zichu losing to Huang Yueli, her thinking changed immediately. Wasn't she hugging on to Lei Zichu so that he could deal with Huang Yueli? In the end, his ability was just not there. Then what use did she have for him? Moreover, Lei Zichu's loss was painfully heavy. Having lost to a new student, his reputation was going to take a huge hit, and moreover, he had lost 11,000 star currency, so his future cultivation resources were going to be affected greatly. If she continued staying with him, wouldn't it become an embarrassment? As a future armament master, why bother to hang herself on a tree? Her best option now was to ditch him and find a better backing. If it wasn't for the sake that Lei Zichu was powerful and his family background was outstanding, Li Shuer wasn't even willing to speak to him on such excuses. Yet, after saying such superficial words, was Lei Zichu so stupid until he didn't understand her meaning? He was so angry that his entire face turned red, wishing he could use one palm strike to strike Li Shuer dead on the spot. But his movements became retarded from his injuries, and Li Shuer ran extremely fast, so Lei Zichu wasn't able to chase up to her at all. He had nowhere to unleash his anger, so he turned his head once more. Huang Yueli was all smiles as she was praised by the referee teacher, and all the other students also surrounded her with praises. Many of them were people who fawned upon him had instantly went to booklick Huang Yueli. Everyone knew that if they had to booklick, it made more sense to pick the thicker thigh. It was obvious that in their hearts that Lei Zichu was already passé. Lei Zichu saw this happening, and he was not able to contain the fury and jealousy within his heart, so evil intent crept up upon him as he pulled out a silvery ball-like item from his realm ring. Everyone's attention was on Huang Yueli, and no one bothered about the defeat at him. Lei Zichu took the opportunity to aim towards Huang Yueli's direction and injected his profound energy from his fingertips, throwing the ball-like object ferociously from her back. You can also listen on. In that moment that Lei Zichu snuck the attack, signs of alarm were already ringing for Huang Yueli. But as the distance between them was rather close, and Lei Zichu used his specialized technique, so his speed was extremely swift, and she could not react in time. The fact that the profound weapon that Lei Zichu threw out was extremely special. The speed of that item was multiplied. Huang Yueli dodged in an attempt to evade, but felt that the profound weapon had instantly reached behind her back as vibrations of a powerful, profound energy started to surface. Before it had actually touched her, her chest was already feeling the pain as her blood rages, and her complexion turned pale white instantly. So, soul fixation pearl. Huang Yueli swiftly responded in time, and realized what was the item that Lei Zichu had thrown towards her. But it was too late. The distance between the soul fixation pearl and her was barely 1 meter, and it continued to vibrate, giving out a sharp buzzing sound as it grew louder and louder. Following that, with a bam, it exploded. The might of the explosion from the soul fixation pearl was too strong, and the entire martial arts stage was instantly covered by that blinding bright light, as the Rude was instantly blown away. Powerful airflow rushed through the viewing platform, and whenever it went, everything was turned into a complete disorder, and many students were flicked out of the martial arts stage boundary towards the outside as they fainted from the impact. Huang Yueli bore the brunt of it all, and as the might of the explosion was too strong, she knew that she would not be able to handle it, so she had already summoned all her profound energy into a defensive stance. Along with the 5th-tier defensive armor that she was wearing, her life should not be in danger. But it was inevitable to get seriously injured. Huang Yueli shut her eyes tightly and prepared for the incoming pain. But suddenly she felt her waist tightened as her body lost balance, and she crashed heavily against a warm thing while her petite body was wrapped up. Immediately following that, sounds of explosion could be heard, but the expected pain did not come along with it. The only thing was the energy around her waist grew strong and strong, almost suffocating her. It was until the explosion ended when she regained her senses and realized that the solid and warm thing that she was leaning against seemed to be a man's chest. Huang Yueli quickly lifted her head to look at the face of the man who was hugging her. But just at this moment, she suddenly felt faint and subsequently lose consciousness. Li Moying stretched out his hand and caught Huang Yueli's falling body in time. Looking at her slightly pale face, his expression was as ugly as it could get. He quickly rushed over from the viewing platform as he rushed right next to them. Seeing Li Moying's gloomy expression, he didn't dare to speak a single word and could only lower his head on one side, not even daring to breathe loudly. Third miss had actually been plotted against under his master's eyelid and almost suffered a serious injury. This was his master's darling. It was imaginable on what degree his master was infuriated too. Jiang Yusin and Ling Wenbin were just one step too late, and looking at the tournament stage and shaky martial arts stage, their faces sunk. Soul Fixation Pearl. And it's a 7th grade Soul Fixation Pearl. Is Lei Zichu mad? Just because he lost a battle, he actually used the Soul Fixation Pearl? The Soul Fixation Pearl was something which high-level practitioners would use before they die. The usage was to congeal their last profound energy into it, and after inciting the explosion, it was comparable to that practitioner's totally focused effect. Generally speaking, this was the last ace card which practitioners would use to save their lives. Lei Zichu was nurtured under a reputable large family's talent, and to have such a thing on him wasn't strange at all. You can also listen on you're tuning in to the Romance Rendezvous YouTube channel. We're so grateful for your support, and don't forget to subscribe to join us on this incredible journey through captivating stories. Your generosity through donations truly makes a world of difference, as it's the primary source of revenue that allows me to expand and enhance this channel for you. Thank you from the bottom of my heart for being a part of this adventure.